Chapter 554. Luo Qingshun knit her brows. She knew in her heart that when she wasn't here, this woman who was 90% similar to her would definitely do something. But she never thought that she would use this kind of stupid trick. She saw Wan Fong slowly stand up, but because she had been kneeling for too long, her knees were stiff. The moment she stood up, she fell back down. The surrounding palace maids did not come forward to help her up. Instead, she stood up and said, "This servant respectfully sends off the emperor." What a female lead halo. How inspiring. How strong. Luo Qingshun felt that at this moment, she was like an unfavored imperial concubine standing by the emperor's side. And the woman in front of her with a face as pale as paper and eyes filled with determination would definitely be the most favored in the harem one day. Her heart suddenly felt a little flustered. This was the first time she had felt this flustered. It was another name that wasn't on the mission panel. It was another unpredictable journey. And Ning Weihan's following words made her flustered heart tremble. "Secretary Huan, bring her to this one's cloud-soaring hall in a bit." "Yes, Emperor." Secretary Huan's eyes slightly lit up. It seemed like her eyes were very accurate. She had guessed the Emperor's thoughts twice, and the person he was thinking of. Not far away, Lum Ming and the others heard Ning Weihan's words and knit their brows. They couldn't help feeling worried for Luo Qingshun. In the harem, it was like walking on thin ice. She had to think twice before doing anything. Otherwise, once she fell out of favor, it would be over for the rest of her life. Walking out of the maid palace, Luo Qingshun followed behind Ning Weihan. Her heart was filled with a very bad taste. Until they reached the end of a corridor, he slowly stopped. Luo Qingshun did not have time to stop and almost bumped into him. "Why is the emperor not leaving?" Luo Qingshun slightly nodded. Seeing the light in his eyes, she suddenly felt that this scene was a bit familiar. In the past, when he was still the crown prince, they seemed to have walked through this corridor. At that time, it was the Phoenix Girl competition, so he took her hand and left without saying a word. Along the way, the servants all retreated to the side. This one is thinking that someone should not be too happy. He laughed softly and quickly grabbed her wrist. The jade bracelet slowly fell from his wrist. His eyebrows moved slightly as he continued. "Back then, when I gave you this bracelet, does the repayment you promised still count?" Luo Qingshun was startled. Was Ning Weihan planning to lay his cards on the table with her? Actually, she didn't know why he didn't directly acknowledge her. She had reminded him time and time again, but he had cleverly avoided it and gave her ambiguous answers. Now, he wanted to bring Wan Fong back to the cloud-soaring palace, but at the same time, he wanted to lay his cards on the table with her. What did he mean by that? "Cuckoo," she cleared her throat and said, "What does the emperor mean?" This servant does not understand. Most of the time, she would forget the rules of the palace and call herself but if she called herself this servant, she would definitely be in a bad mood. "Do you believe me?" Ning Weihan's tone is very light, but with a touch of doting, looking at her deeply. This kind of gaze was always easy to confuse people. Thinking about how she had 90% affection and how there would be little white flowers sticking to her, she couldn't even properly beat her up. She was so angry. Thinking of this, her heart felt a bit wronged. Eloping, falling off a cliff, being disfigured, recovering, coming back. Everything was to find him, but she was still a palace maid. Chapter 555. In an instant, she gently shook her wrist and broke free from his grasp. After a long time, she softly said, "I believe you." Although she was very angry, she still believed him. She believed that Ning Weihan who said they would elope together. As soon as her voice fell, she slowly turned around and walked towards the cloud-soaring palace. She thought that he would follow her, but she never thought that. After she took a few steps, Ning Weihan's cool voice came from behind her. "Luo Qingshun." She felt as if her legs were shackled by 1,000 pounds of shackles, and she couldn't move at all. What kind of feeling was this? No one in this world would be able to feel this deeply. She slightly pursed her lips, and her eyes became misty. She almost cried in that second. "Luo Qingshun," that cool voice sounded again, but it was slightly trembling. She suddenly turned around and looked at Ning Weihan, who was walking towards her. Her eyelashes trembled and tears fell. She didn't want to cry, but she couldn't hold it in. Ever since she entered the cloud-soaring palace, Ning Weihan had never called her by her name. The only time he shook her palace tablet was when he said to her, "This one doesn't like this name." Memories rolled through her mind, but the moment she closed her eyes, he had already tightly hugged her in his arms. "Idiot!" He gently knit his brows and gently said to her, "As long as you show me your back, I will know that you are Luo Qingchen." She pursed her lips and choked with laughter as she said, "I don't believe you. That day in the back garden, I saw your back from far away, so I quickly ran over." Ning Weihan's lips curled up as he said, "You don't know how excited I was." She really found it hard to imagine that Ning Weihan would recognize her when he saw a completely unfamiliar face. "So you knew who I was because..." She raised her hand and said, "Was it because of the jade bracelet?" He rubbed her head and said, "The jade bracelet under the moonlight that night was very beautiful." Luo Qingchen was startled. It turned out that it was just as he said. He recognized her at first glance. Then why did he do so many things after that? She snorted and jumped out of his embrace. She looked at him and said, "Then why did you call that palace made into the cloud-soaring palace?" Ruan Fong Fong. His gaze suddenly became deep as he tucked the messy hair in front of her forehead behind her ear. His eyes were filled with love as he said, "If I wasn't afraid that you would misunderstand, I wouldn't want you to worry about me. You have a plan?" Luo Qingchen raised her eyebrows, looked into his eyes, and asked, "There shouldn't be any danger." Thinking about it carefully, if Ning Weihan had a plan from the very beginning, everything seemed to make sense. "Don't worry." He patted her head and said, "I won't let anyone else have the chance to spend the rest of their lives with you." His eyes were very firm, and his handsome face was even whiter in the snow. There was a faint trace of Li Guang in his eyes. She should trust him without any reservations. After all, he was the Ning Weihan that was willing to give up his country for her. When it was evening, Minister Huan personally brought Ruan Fong Fong into the cloud-soaring palace. Luo Qingchen did not serve tea in front of the imperial palace and went into the side hall. After all, there were some people that the eyes did not see, the heart did not feel annoyed. After Minister Huan left, Ruan Fong Fong looked around her. She was very happy that she did not see Luo Qingchen's figure. It turned out that it was so easy to replace someone in front of the emperor. It turned out that this face could really change her fate. Chapter 556. Ning Weihan's brows furrowed slightly, and his fingers paused in the middle of correcting documents. He suddenly thought of that extremely clear voice. In just a short while, he missed it very much. Ning Weihan responded, then looked to Eunuch Luo beside him and said, "Let Lu Xiang in." Yes, Eunuch Luo bowed in response. When he left the hall, he didn't forget to look at Ruan Fong Fong. She was indeed somewhat similar to the woman from back then. However, she lacked a bit of purity and had an additional touch of charm. At this moment, Ruan Fong Fong appeared to be a bit embarrassed. Seeing Lu Xiang slowly walk in, she could only silently retreat to the side. However, who knew that Lu Xiang's eyes would stare fixedly at her, causing her to immediately kneel in fear and say, "This servant greets Lu Xiang." "You?" Lu Xiang's deep and old voice trembled as he said with disbelief. As expected, he had received a secret message earlier that this woman from Luo in Kingdom hadn't died. Instead, she had been saved by the new emperor. Now, she had actually come to the palace and was even in front of the emperor. How could this kind of woman from the enemy country be allowed to live in this world? Ning Weihan's eyes narrowed. Although he didn't raise his head, a different expression flashed through his eyes. "Lu Xiang, it's already so late. What's the matter?" After a while, he raised his eyes slightly, his tone as calm as water. Lu Xiang took a deep breath and said, "This subject heard that the 11th prince led a group of armored soldiers to Jiangnan Water County to exterminate the pirates. Now he has achieved a complete victory." "Oh?" Ning Weihan raised his brows and said, "Isn't that good?" "Your Majesty." Lu Xiang cupped his hands and bowed, saying, Great merit overshadows the emperor. Do you remember how the previous emperor took over the country back then? Lu Xiang had been entrusted by Ning Yuan, so he couldn't make any mistakes. Now that that woman had appeared again, it was a disaster for the country. Listening carefully, we also feel that Lu Xiang's words are very true. He frowned slightly and said, "Father has many princes now, and only 11th brother is left as an official in the court. If it's true that great merit overshadows the emperor, it seems that he is the only one." This old subject was really worried that he only came now. Minister Lu's eyes narrowed as he said, "This old official's son also has some achievements in the Northern Ridge. Why don't we let him serve your majesty?" Ning Weihan nodded thoughtfully and muttered, "If not for my serving girl at the time suggesting for 11th brother to go to Jiangnan, I had originally planned to have Lu Yuan go." Lu Xiang's gaze fell on Ruan Fong once again. This time, a solemn killing intent flashed through his eyes. As expected, the daughter of an enemy nation could not be left alive. He thought that even if he knew that she wasn't dead, it would take him a long time to find her. Now that she had delivered herself to his doorstep, she couldn't blame him for not showing mercy. Ruan Fong's body trembled, as if she was a little afraid of such a gaze, as if it wanted to kill her. "All right, we understand." Ning Weihan saw that he had achieved what he wanted, so he flicked his sleeve and said, "You may withdraw." Yes, this old subject will take his leave. After Minister Lu left, Ruan Fong lightly walked forward and bowed to ask, "Does your majesty need this servant to grind ink for your majesty?" Ning Weihan seemed to suddenly think of something and said to Luo Gong beside him, "Take her to Cloud Praying Palace. In the future, she will live there temporarily." Cloud Praying Palace was the palace where the imperial concubines lived. Ruan Fong stilled, and her eyes filled with mirth. She had so easily become the woman that the emperor doted on so much. She would use all her means to protect her position and not let anyone replace her. Chapter 557. Walking out of the Cloud Soaring Hall, Lu Xiang watched from a distance and followed behind them. When eunuch Luo brought Ruan Fong to the Cloud Praying Hall, Lu Xiang finally clenched his fists. This was Ning Weihan's mother's bedroom, Cloud Soaring Hall. Luo Qingshun was so bored that she was lying on the couch, counting the stars. Ning Weihan pulled open the curtain and walked in. "Is it very boring in the depths of the palace?" He sat beside her and gently held her hand. His eyes were filled with affection. "It's all right." She looked at him and pursed her lips. "You're just curious. Why are you playing such a big game?" Ning Weihan looked at her eyes, and his lips curled into a smile as he said, "You'll know soon enough." The 6 courtyards of the palace did not suit her. Cheating and deceit did not suit her either. The next morning, Ruan Fong, who entered the Cloud Praying Hall, had already taken off her maid's clothes and put on the clothes she brought into the palace. Ning Weihan arranged a maid for her to be responsible for her daily life, but he did not give her any title. But she did not care. As long as it was like this, it was enough. After all, she was the first woman in the harem that the emperor treated with special respect. "Where's Miss Ruan going?" "Pa!" A crisp slap sounded. The maid was so scared that she took 2 steps back and her body slightly trembled. "As a lowly servant, you don't have the qualifications to ask about my matters. Do you understand?" She was wearing a hibiscus-colored brocade dress made of flowers and butterflies. She looked just like an imperial concubine in the palace, extremely noble. The maid quickly knelt down and said, "This servant deserves death." "Humph!" She gave a cold snort and raised her eyebrows. "We're going to the maid palace." The maids who looked down on her that day, she wanted to personally return them one by one. At this time in the maid palace, everyone was sending Lemeng off. Luo Qingshun also came early and brought her a gift. This gift was something she asked the system for. It was definitely one of a kind in the world, okay? What a beautiful pearl. Lin Shuai looked at the luminous pearl in Luo Qingshun's hand, and her eyeballs almost fell out. Luo Qingshun chuckled and said, "This is called a luminous pearl. Night is the best time for it to bloom." "I really want it." Wanglin also seemed to like it very much. She reached out and touched it. "It's quite cold." "Yes." Luo Qingchen nodded and said, "It can be used to avoid the summer heat." "Thank you, Qing." Lu Meng's eyes were filled with tears. She held her arm tightly and said, "If it wasn't for you, I don't think I would be where I am today." "All right, as long as you're happy." She smiled gently and turned her gaze to Lin Shui and Wang Lin. "When you get married in the future, I will also prepare gifts for you." "Really?" "Yes." "Great." Everyone gathered in one place, and everyone was laughing and chatting happily. At this time, the door of the maid palace was opened with a bang. Luo Qingchen frowned and looked at Ruan Fongfong, who swaggered in. Her cold eyes narrowed slightly. She first walked towards the maids who were in the same batch as her. When everyone saw her dress, they lowered their heads and took 2 steps back. "Oh, why are you so afraid of me today?" Ruan Fongfong snorted and said, "I won't forget your size that day." "Fongfong, we're all in the same batch of maids. Pa pa." 2 crisp slaps resounded, deafening everyone's ears. Chapter 558. Ruan Fongfong used a lot of force, causing the palace maid to stagger back 2 steps. There was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Although everyone was dissatisfied, they didn't dare to resist. After all, she was indeed the palace maid that the emperor said he would bring back to the cloud-soaring palace. Moreover, the palace had already spread the news last night that she had already moved into the cloud-praying palace. Luo Qingchen wasn't familiar with this new batch of palace maids, so there was no reason for her to help them. But this Ruan Fongfong was really unpleasant to look at. "It's getting late. Insho should be changing shifts." Lu Meng turned her eyes and said softly, "Take care, I'll leave first." "And I'll miss you." Lin Shui hugged her and helped her carry her bag. The group walked towards the door. At this moment, Ruan Fongfong's voice sounded again. "Did I say you could leave?" Luo Qingchen and the group of 4 stopped at the same time and turned to look at Ruan Fongfong, who was not far away. This feeling was very similar to when they first met in the back garden. It was full of passion and excitement. "What a joke," Lu Meng snorted. "Why do you care if we leave or not?" "That's right," Lin Shui said with disdain. "Have you already been conferred a title? You're crazy." Wang Lin rolled her eyes. "Are you addicted to beating people?" "Pucci." Luo Qingchen couldn't help laughing. She nodded in agreement, same. At this moment, Ruan Fongfong's face turned red with anger. She pointed at Luo Qingchen and said, "You've already been defeated. How can you be brave?" "That's a good idiom," she snorted. "If I'm brave, what can you do to me?" Originally, the well water didn't interfere with the river water, but some people like to cause trouble. Since that was the case, she had no reason to not accompany them. Ruan Fongfong heard this and angrily walked towards Luo Qingchen and the group. When she was 2 meters away, Luo Qingchen raised her hand slightly and said, "Stop." She took a step forward and actually came to a stop. 1, 2. There are only 2 of you. Luo Qingchen's slender fingers moved slightly. She looked at Ruan Fongfong and pointed at her side. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 of us. Ruan Fongfong was startled, but in the next second, she understood what Luo Qingchen meant. She was clearly saying, "I have the advantage in numbers, and you can't beat me." "You." She bit her lips and said, "If you have the ability, then fight back. Then come." Luo Qingchen gave a soft laugh as her eyes turned cold. Ruan Fongfong's eyes were bloodshot. If she didn't hit them now, her ferocity just now would be useless. In the future, she might be bullied by the same group of palace maids. Ruan Fongfong, Fongfong Fongfong Fongfong, Ruan Fongfong, of Ruan of Fongfong of Ruan Fongfong, Talun, Ruli, they Ruas 3 Sisis Ruan of Ruan. In the next second, she suddenly raised her hand and hit in Luo Qingchen's direction. Luo Qingchen's right hand clenched and firmly grasped Ruan Fongfong's wrist. She suddenly pushed her and said, "Is that all you've got?" Lu Meng saw this and directly pushed her down. Lin Shui and Wang Lin also stepped forward to help. The 3 of them firmly held her down. The palace maid she brought didn't interfere at all. She just stood at the side as if nothing had happened. "Host, someone is coming." The system's voice suddenly sounded in her ear, causing her eyes to move slightly. "Sisters, quickly get up. Someone is coming." Chapter 559. But in the next second, the door to the maid palace was not opened. Luo Qingshan frowned, and a trace of doubt flashed through her eyes. The system shouldn't be wrong. But under normal circumstances, the system wouldn't notify her if someone was coming. Ruan Fongfong stood up with disheveled hair and messy clothes. Her face was filled with anger. She pointed at Luo Qingshan and the others and shouted, "When Ben Gong becomes the empress, I will definitely wipe out all of your families." Ah! With a shio sound, an arrow pierced through Ruan Fongfong's body. Ah! Everyone turned pale with fright. Even Luo Qingshan took a step back and vigilantly looked forward. Kill, kill, kill. One of the palace maids who was more timid directly fainted. Pong! At this time, the door to the maid palace was opened. Ning Weian walked in wearing a golden dragon robe. His gaze lightly swept over Luo Qingshan, and then he walked straight to Ruan Fongfong, who had fallen to the ground. He picked her up by the waist. At the same time, Lu Xiang walked in with the court officials. They lined up in front of Ning Weihan and said, "The daughter of an enemy country cannot be left alive. Emperor, please reconsider." Lu Xiang originally wanted to carefully investigate Ruan Fongfong's identity, but today his secret agent came to inform him. This woman actually wore a brocade robe and acted like a tyrant in the palace. If this kind of enemy country's person became the empress in the future, it would cause a disaster in the harem. No matter what, she had to be killed. What if Jin insists on saving her? Ning Weihan's gaze was very cold. It was so cold that even Luo Qingshan felt it was strange. But no one knew what he was thinking at this moment. Everything was under his control. He carried Ruan Fongfong into the maid palace and gently placed her on the bed. The place where the arrow pierced was not fatal. What was fatal was the poison on the arrow. Ruan Fongfong's eyes were wide open. Her lips opened and closed as she said, "Emperor, save me. Where's the antidote?" Ning Weihan frowned. He looked at Lu Xiang, who had followed him into the room, and shouted, "Give us the antidote. This old subject has asked for the late emperor's last will to protect my Ning kingdom." Lu Xiang knelt down with tears streaming down his face. He kowtowed heavily and said, "Because we have to kill the enemy's daughter. This poison has no antidote." Ning Weihan's eyes turned cold. He placed his hand on Ruan Fongfong's back and made a cut where no one could see. He then raised his hand and looked at Lu Xiang, saying, "Now that Zhan has also been poisoned, if you don't hand over the antidote, Zhan will also die, Your Majesty." "Your Majesty, why must you do this?" Lu Xiang was stunned at this moment. His body trembled as he said, "There's really no antidote for this poison, Your Majesty. Back then, in order to kill her, you didn't forbid the safety of the country to persuade my most trusted guard, forcing her to fall off a cliff. Now that she has finally returned to my side, you still won't let her go." He closed his eyes, his expression unreadable. After a long time, he slowly opened his eyes and continued, "Fine, summon 11th brother into the palace." Lu Xiang and the others looked at the cut on Ning Weihan's hand. They looked at each other and trembled as they said, "Yes, you can leave first." "Yes." Luo Qingshan watched as Lu Xiang and the others slowly walked out of the room. Just as she was about to go in, she was pulled back by Yin Shou. "Why are you here?" Luo Qingshan frowned and said, "It's good that you're here. Take Lemeng and leave first. It's not good to stay here for long." Chapter 560. Luo Qingshan would never have thought that Ning Weihan, who was the crown prince back then, would give up the position of crown prince for her. Today, it was still that young man named Ning Weihan, who was willing to give up the country for her. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. Since Ning Weihan was able to find her immediately after she fell off the cliff, Lu Xiang's group naturally also discovered that her body was not at the bottom of the cliff. If she wanted to come back, it would definitely not be an easy task. Therefore, he had already had a plan, but the plan changed midway because she did not appear with that face. This was even better. Originally, she needed to be injured and fake her death to leave with him. But with the appearance of Ruan Fongfong, she did not need to be the one injured. Everything was in Ning Weihan's plan. After entering the palace, Ning Yuqiu went straight to the maid palace. At this time, There were only 2 brothers in the maid palace. His 11th brother was very clear about his plan from the beginning to the end. "Brother, do we really have to do this?" Ning Yuchio frowned and looked at him. "I only know how to fight. I can't be a good ruler." Ning Weihan threw the arrow that he had prepared in advance to scratch himself out of the window, and then handed the imperial jade seal to him. At that time, our father emperor was just a brave general at first, but later he became a sage. Ning Yuchio was still very hesitant. He frowned tightly and said, "We are not afraid of Lu Xiang's group." Now was his brother's world. That group of old men could not overturn the sky. Of course, I have never been afraid of them, but I don't want the person I miss to be in any danger. Ning Weihan slowly got up and stood with his hand behind his back. If it were not for Ruan Fangfang's appearance, I'm afraid this plan would be even more difficult to complete. Ning Weihan had long known that Lu Xiang would make a move on her one day. Originally, he planned to secretly replace Lu Xiang's shadow guards with his own shadow guards and put on a show. He still had to shoot the arrow, but the arrow was not poisonous. But if that was the case, Luo Qingshan would be injured. He did not want her to be injured. Ruan Fangfang's appearance gave the plan the most perfect ending. Yes, in Ning Weihan's eyes, she was indeed a substitute who could be injured for Luo Qingshan from the beginning to the end. So what if they looked exactly the same? So what if they were 100% alike? There was only one Luo Qingshan in the world. He only needed to see her back to recognize her. Brother really loves beauties more than the world. Ning Yuchio chuckled and said, "Actually, I'm quite envious of you. If I have someone I like in the future, who should I find to take over this world?" Ning Weihan shrugged and said, "I can't help you with this." In the first year of Wu Kingdom, the new emperor died of illness before 3 months had passed since his ascension to the throne. Therefore, the throne was passed on to Xingyuan Great General Ning Yuchio, the 11th son of the late emperor, and the title of the state was changed to Qiushan. Inshou used all of his wealth to buy 2 mansions in a small village 300 miles away from the main city. One of them was given to Luo Qingshan. The backyard is full of flowers. You should like it. Later, when the young master arrives, you can decide whether to stay or leave. Inshou looked at her and said, "The young master's actions are really too surprising." Luo Qingshan took a deep breath and raised her eyes. Her eyes were filled with tears. It turned out that this was a big game of chess that he had carefully planned. It was actually to leave the imperial palace with her. She bit her lips and muttered, "Ning Weihan, do you know that what you are giving up now is not the position of the crown prince, but the country above all people?" "You know, I don't care." Not far away, a cool voice slowly came. Chapter 561. She suddenly turned around and looked at the white-clothed Ning Weihan. There was a faint liguang in his eyes, and there was a faint smile on his lips. No wonder he had asked her that day if she was bored in the palace. So he had already thought of a future for her. Since ancient times, emperors had been fickle, but Ning Weihan did not care about his country at all. Snowflakes fell down and landed on her hair. She lifted her skirt in the snow and ran in his direction. Gently standing on her feet, he lifted her off the ground. Ning Weihan's cool voice sounded in her ear. "Are you satisfied with this surprise? How long did you prepare for this?" She sniffed and looked at him with a faint smile. "It was probably when I found out that Lu Xiao had betrayed me. I was the one who found you first and had the imperial doctor and confidant save you." "What?" Luo Qingshan heard this and looked at him with a shocked expression. You're saying that the old woman and the old man are your people?" "Of course." He rubbed her head, and there was a faint pampering look on his face as he said, "If the other side was you, I would always prepare a second plan." He really did not think that Lu Xiao would betray him for Ningguo, but for something like eloping, he naturally had other preparations. Heavens! Luo Qingshan shook her head in disbelief. "You're so scheming. No, you're so black-bellied. You're saying that your future husband is black-bellied?" Ning Weihan picked her up in a princess carry and walked into the room. With a creak sound, the door was opened. The entire hall was covered in red silk. It was a wedding hall. Then, he looked down at her and said, "Are you willing to marry Ning Weihan, who can't help you climb up the social ladder?" She pursed her lips and did not make a sound. She was afraid that if she opened her mouth, she would not be able to stop herself from crying. It was not a meeting of the civil and military officials. It was not a meeting of the imperial concubines, and it was not an empress conferring ceremony. His mind would suddenly recall the Phoenix Girl competition from a long time ago. At that time, she had honestly told him that she was here to climb up the social ladder. Now, with the red silk hanging high in the air, she actually felt so satisfied. I've thought about it, and I still prefer that Ning Weihan who can't let me climb up the social ladder. She smiled faintly and said, after all, that way, he'll be mine alone. It wasn't that she wasn't worried about the power struggle in the harem, nor was it that she wasn't afraid of politics. But he used the most decisive method to make her stay away from the court and the backyard, and all the right and wrong. Ning Weihan's dark brown eyes sparkled as he looked at her and said, then marry me. She pursed her lips and nodded gently. The other party couldn't wait to kiss her lips. His right hand gently touched her waist, and his lips moved. After a long while, he slowly released her. His eyes were filled with gentleness as he said, I had Ian Shou prepare the wedding dress. It should be in the inner room. You can go and change. Luo Qingqian's face was red, and her breathing was a bit rushed. She slowly looked up and said, Then why didn't you wait to bow to the heavens and earth before kissing me? Wasn't it always kissing after swearing an oath? Why was the script different? He paused and then placed his slender finger on her red lips as he said, I was a bit impatient. Aren't you embarrassed to say this? Luo Qingqian pursed her lips and pretended to be calm as she looked at him. Then she walked into the inner room. After a while, she covered herself with a red veil and walked out. While she was still trying to figure out where to go, a pair of cold hands had already firmly grabbed her wrist. Chapter 562. Although there was only room for the two of them, it was more than enough for them. I, Ning Weihan, swear to the heavens that in this life, if not for the yellow earth, I will protect my wife, Luo Qingqian, until she is 100 years old. His words were filled with a strange feeling. It was like he was swearing an oath without any ambiguity at all. Luo Qingqian stood to the side. When he finished speaking, she was about to speak, but she heard him say in front of her, the ceremony is complete. I haven't said anything yet. She lifted the veil and looked at him with a pair of bright eyes. How did you finish the ceremony already? Because I don't need your promise. Ning Weihan was a bit flustered as he put the red veil back on and said, let me lift this. Luo Qingqian pursed her lips and lifted the veil again. She said with a puzzled expression, why? Ning Weihan saw that she was determined to lift the veil, so he directly picked her up and said, because in my, Ning Weihan's world, you only have to do 3 things. She was stunned. Her hands unconsciously wrapped around his neck as she said, what? It seems like a lot. Be by my side, be by my side, be by my side. Ning Weihan's voice was incomparably gentle. It was like a spring breeze that could melt the ice and snow in the yard. When she heard this, her eyes filled with Liguang. She pursed her lips into a faint smile and said, all right. It was the wedding night, the bridal chamber. He gently placed her on the soft couch, surrounded by candles and window decorations. After a second, Ning Weihan gently kissed her lips and said, is the wifey ready for the wedding ceremony? She felt her heart beating very fast, and a faint blush appeared on her face, spreading to her ears. Ning Weihan's movements were very gentle. His slender fingers slightly trembled as he slowly removed her jewelry. She nervously touched her ears and said, we'll be shy, he calmly replied. His right hand circled around her waist and gently pulled at the ribbon tying her clothes. Close your eyes and leave it to me. Luo Qingqian obediently closed her eyes. Her eyelashes trembled slightly, and her palms began to sweat unconsciously. Ning Weihan covered her with a soft blanket and carefully kissed her cherry lips. In the quiet room, there was only the flickering candlelight and the sound of rapid breathing. His movements were very light, and step by step, he merged with her tightly. At this moment, she didn't know where she was and how many years had passed. She felt as if she had been sucked into a burning flame, hot but unable to stop. Ice was the pain of the first time, and fire was the joy of sex. Ning Weihan waved his right hand and extinguished the candlestick. He gently hugged her tightly, eroding all of her rationality inch by inch. After a long time, the 9 shallow and 1 deep climax rose again and again, bringing with it the wonderful feeling of the soul flying and becoming one. In another world, he tossed and turned. When it ended, he softly kissed her forehead and said, "I love you. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 100%. Many years later, Ning Weihan would still remember this first night. He had mentioned it to her several times, and he had been very nervous at that time. He said that it was his first time, and he had no experience. Whenever he said this, Luo Qingshun would roll her eyes. After all, the next day, she couldn't even get out of bed. If this was called inexperience, then wouldn't he be terrifying when he had experience? And it was indeed like this. She hadn't gotten out of bed for a week before. After all, Ning Weihan had money, so she didn't need to get out of bed. The days of this world were not dull at all. She liked this kind of time, and he also liked it. Chapter 563. Wedding Dress, Heaven and Earth, Me and You. Ning Weihan, the moment I was born, I was the crown prince revered by everyone. My father was a hero. Since ancient times, emperors have been fickle, but in my eyes, my father was a very loyal person. Although he had many concubines and had many children. But I knew that the people he loved the most were me and my mother. Ever since I was old enough to understand things, my mother had already passed away. But I was never bullied by anyone in the palace. It wasn't because I was the crown prince, but the people who bullied me, no matter who they were. Princes were also the sons of ministers. If they said something bad, they would be demoted to commoner and even beaten to death. I vaguely remember that year. The 6th prince pushed me down and said to me that I was a pitiful child without a mother. At that time, his mother was father's new favorite, so he was naturally very arrogant. But I didn't expect that in the afternoon, his mother would be banished to the cold palace, and he would no longer be the so-called prince. It was probably from then on that everyone in the imperial court and the harem knew about it. The current emperor's favorite prince was me. No one could replace me. As we grew up, the struggle between the brothers became more obvious, and the one with the strongest edge was Ning Wenjin. That day, I wanted to go to the mass grave to see my mother, but halfway there, I encountered an ambush of assassins. In the later years, whenever I thought of this matter, I wanted to thank those assassins. I wanted to thank them for appearing and bringing me Lu Qingxin. That night, I saw her panic, and she looked very familiar. I had a kind heart, so I brought her along. Her expression was very strange, as if she was saying, "Why did you take me?" She was really naive. If I didn't take her with me, how could she have a chance to live? It was impossible to leave a secret guard alive, no matter who you were. She seemed to be very familiar with the mass grave. She clearly pointed out every path. In the end, we jumped into the river to escape, but I was still injured. In a daze, I saw that she liked to talk to herself, and many things would appear in her hands. I thought it was probably because I was poisoned too deeply and didn't have long to live. But after she finished applying medicine for me, I found that my mind was becoming clearer and clearer. She was very serious when she bandaged my wound. She sucked out the venom for me, very serious. Although it was difficult for me to keep my eyelids from falling, I wanted to persevere. I didn't want to miss her serious look. Perhaps it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call this first encounter love at first sight. Actually, I didn't sleep that night. She seemed to be sleeping very soundly. Her eyelashes trembled slightly, and her mouth unconsciously called out another person's name. I suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in my heart. I had never felt this kind of emotion before. I know, I don't like this feeling, but I still couldn't help but put the only thing my mother had left me on her wrist. The jade bracelet was a perfect match for her fair wrist. I knew we would meet again. After returning to the palace, the first thing I did was to reorganize the secret guards that the king had placed by my side to reduce their spirit. Then, I started to investigate her identity. As expected, that night was the second time we met. The first time they met was at the Luo Manor, when she was valiantly holding her family's elders hostage. When we accidentally met, I felt that this kind of woman was very special. But at that time, I only felt that she was special and didn't take it to heart. Now that I think about it, perhaps this was fate. Chapter 564. After investigating her identity, I wanted to send Lu Xiao to help me find her in the Luo manor. But I didn't think that Luo Yi would take her to the annual Phoenix Girl competition. I wasn't interested in this kind of thing, but if she went, I had to be there. After all, I didn't want to give her to anyone else. There were many people at the Phoenix Girl competition, and most of them came to climb up the social ladder. When I saw her in the crowd, Wang Ning Wenjin was standing next to her. He seemed to be whispering something to her with his head down, but she didn't pay him any attention. At the banquet, Mu Rong and a woman quarreled, and Mu Rong immediately pointed his finger at her. I felt that it was time for me to appear. After all, if one wanted to fight with me, I wasn't afraid. After all, at the Phoenix Girl competition, if she wanted to find someone to climb up the social ladder, it had to be me, and it could only be me. I could clearly feel that when I said those words, her expression was slightly startled. I enjoyed this feeling very much. I took her hand and left in front of everyone. She was very cute, and her clear eyes seemed to flash with a kind of desire. It was as if she was looking for me. Later, I took her to see my mother. I didn't know who she was, but she gave me a gift. That gift shocked me for the rest of my life. I always thought that things like yin and yang didn't exist. However, this gift made me realize that I was just ignorant and inexperienced. She naturally didn't know that my mother told me that it wouldn't be easy for her and me to be together. One day, she would disappear from my life and appear with a different face. Mother asked me if I was afraid I wouldn't recognize her. I said, I'm not afraid. I believe that as long as I see her back, I will know that she is Luo Qingchen. Then one day, I was able to prove what I had said. That day, when I passed by the full moon pavilion, I suddenly saw a figure not far away. Eunuch Luo told me that there was no one, but I believe that I saw it. I couldn't hear Eunuch Luo's shouts behind me, so I quickly walked to the back garden. The moment I saw her, my world came to a standstill. I wanted to rush forward and hug her, but I knew that I couldn't now. There were many spies in the palace, and the future was long. I had to come up with a plan to be with her forever. The so-called big game, I had thought about it in one night. But the reason why I hesitated was that she was going to be hurt. But I didn't want her to be hurt, and I felt that the heavens still cared for me. While I was hesitating, a Ruan Fong who looked 90% similar to her original appearance appeared. I knew that all the opportunities were ripe. The ministers headed by Prime Minister Liu will definitely kill Ruan Fong. When the time comes, I only need to put on a show of martyrdom. Once I pass the throne to 11th brother, I can leave this palace and go far away with her. Everything was under my control. In order to give her a surprise, I asked Isho to prepare a wedding room. Although I said it was a surprise, I actually couldn't wait any longer. I want to take her as my wife. Even if I don't have the country as a betrothal gift, I have my pledge of undying love. In the future, I will accompany her one step at a time for all the years to come. I was willing to be faithful to her. Even if it was only for a moment, I was willing to spend all my time here. Chapter 565. The annual sweet, doting drama has officially come to an end. No abuse of the male lead. No abuse of the female lead. Are the little fairies very happy? Ning Weihan. All right. Our male lead, Sama, seems to be unable to sit still and wants to quickly enter the 10 questions and 10 answer segment. Then the system will not say any useless nonsense and begin. First question, do you think her face was prettier at the beginning or later? System, are you sure you want to ask such a sharp question at the beginning? This can you give an ambiguous answer? Both are prettier. This is called perfunctory. Oh, the system was angry, but it still had to maintain a smile and continue asking questions. Second question, what is the funniest thing in this world? A year after my 11th brother ascended the throne, he met a commoner girl. Because of his low status, Lu Xiang and the others kept making things difficult for him. Then, he secretly contacted me and asked if he could return the country to me. Ha 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 ha. Then, how did you answer him? The system felt like it was going to burst out laughing and turn into a pile of parts. The next day, my wife and I moved away. After that, we never contacted each other again. Ning Weihan lightly shrugged to express that the country that was given away was like water that was spilled. There was no way to exchange it back. System, you're really going to die of laughter. Third question, who was the head of the household when you lived among the commoners? At first, when we lived next door to Ian Shou and the others, my wife and I went to eat every day. Then, we moved away and had no place to eat, so we could only go to a restaurant every day. And then, we invited the chef of the restaurant home. Fourth question, when did you feel that you were the most handsome? There seemed to be many. Pick one. When the Phoenix Girl competition. At that time, I was thinking that my appearance in the backyard would be dazzling, while this shiny me would only stand by her side. Fifth question, when did you not want to be the emperor? When I told Imperial Father that I wanted to marry her as the crown princess, I said that I could choose not to inherit the throne in the future. It's probably because of this that the Luo family's identity was discovered. Why can't he inherit the throne if he marries her? Because I don't want her to be jealous or have any love rivals. Okay, the system answered reluctantly. Sixth question, who is the most hated person in this plane? Lu Xiao. A drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring. I save him with my own hands, but he wants to kill the person I love the most. Then shouldn't you hate your father even more? I hate him too, but Lu Xiao owes me. My father owes me. Seventh question, when do you think she is the cutest? She wants to see what Ruan Fong looks like, but she's especially cute when she doesn't want to go. Eighth question, when was the most exciting moment? When I called out her name word by word in that endless corridor. Ninth question, when were you the most shy and nervous? Ning Weihan's eyes narrowed, indicating that the system was asking the obvious. After a long time, he said, probably when I was talking about the etiquette of the Duke of Zhou. 10th question, say something to the cute host. Others can take my life and occupy my country, but they can't let me leave you. Chapter 566. When she opened her eyes, she was back in a chaos space. She liked this feeling. It was sweet, beautiful, and nostalgic. The host seems to be in a better mood this time. She was surprised before saying with a faint smile, how good would it be if she could only experience a small setback in each world? She really felt that although the pain was deep, it was enough to leave her covered in wounds. Does the host need to rest? The system had been very obedient recently. It would ask her this every time. I'll have to think about it carefully. The host is so hesitant. It's better if you don't rest. The system expressed that this troublesome host should just die of exhaustion. As expected, the trash system will always be the trash system. Luo Qingshun gave a snort before falling asleep on her bed. In her dream, she was kneeling on the ground, and a white-clothed youth was standing in front of her. She slowly said, Master. When she suddenly opened her eyes, she was still in the chaos space, and there was a smoking mirror in front of her. Recently, her dreams seemed to have changed. They had changed from hell to Xinxia, which made her completely confused. System, I'm awake. Let's go and complete the mission. The following is a summary of the current mission. Host, please properly look over it. Name, Luo Qingxin World. The waste concubine's daughter will counterattack. Mission completion rate, 100%. There is currently one item in the EXP dimensional storage. iPhone 999. Exchange points, 8,400, 2,500 deducted from the last world. The host's 12th mission panel is below. Appearance, stamina, intelligence, figure. After that, the image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission grade, B. Experience gained, 500. Exchange points gained, 5,000. Female lead. Luo Qingchen male lead. Luo Qianzhi supporting female lead. Xiang Tian Qing supporting male lead. Ji Haochen mission content. Return to 3 years before the female lead died and obtain the love of the male lead, Luo Qianzhi. This male lead has the same surname as me. She muttered with a soft laugh. After all these worlds, this was her first time having the same surname as the male lead. Thinking about it, she felt that it was very fun. Could she point at him and say, Hey, that surname Luo, stop for me. this, that. The host will know after receiving the memories. Oh, memory is being imported. Please accept. Logically speaking, when she received the original owner's memories, she was stunned. Sister, brother, love. Oh my God, my little brother is such a black-bellied demon. The school hunk. F***CK, how do I play? However, after completely accepting the memories, her heart calmed down a little. Because Luo Qianzhe wasn't the previous host's blood-related little brother, but rather the adopted son of the previous host's father. The host was the daughter of S City's Luo family. She had an IQ of 180 and was a genius from birth. Luo Qianzhe was 7 days younger than her, but he was truly her little brother. At first, Luo Qianzhe didn't know that he wasn't the previous host's blood-related little brother. Since he was young, he had a sister complex. Wherever the original owner was, he wanted to be there. When the host was young, when she played with other boys, he would destroy her. When he grew up, whenever the original owner talked to other boys, he would make them feel ashamed. Who could afford to offend the young master of S Group's biggest tycoon? The original owner was a smart person and naturally knew what her younger brother was thinking. But since he didn't know her identity, the original owner didn't care too much. Chapter 567. Actually, the story of the previous host was half heart-wrenching and half self-made. This was what Luo Qingshan concluded. The previous host's personality was very cold. Ji Hao Chan was able to enter her eyes because of a foreign exchange program. At that time, the previous host was about to enter high school. She had gotten first place in the middle school exams to become an exchange student at a foreign noble school. Ji Hao Chan happened to be good at sports, so the two of them didn't speak on the way. Until a foreign high school mathematics competition. The previous host didn't want to win for the noble school, so when she was answering the questions, she did a very unique thing. She got it right and arranged it in A, B, C, D order. The original owner never thought that this matter would be discovered, until Ji Hao Chan came to find her with her test paper on a warm morning. She looked at her confidently and told her the secret in her test paper. Perhaps it was because the morning light was too warm that the previous host was dazzled. She felt that Ji Hao Chun was very dazzling. From then on, she was doomed. The previous host only needed to be an exchange student for 3 months to return to the country. She didn't know that Ji Hao Chun wanted to stay and hoped that the previous host could stay with him. In the end, the previous host agreed. But whether it was in the country or abroad, a cold and solitary person would never have many friends. In the beginning, Ji Hao Chan would go to school with the previous host every day. He would buy breakfast for the previous host, and the two of them would go to the library together. But over time, when he had more and more friends, Ji Hao Chun didn't want to just play with the previous host. Until the appearance of the supporting female lead, Xiang Tianqing, made Ji Hao Chun completely abandon the previous host. With the previous host's high intelligence, she knew that Ji Hao Chun and Xiang Tianqing were very close, but liking someone was just liking someone. When you like someone, you can do anything. The previous host stayed abroad for 3 years for Ji Hao Chun and didn't come back until she graduated from high school. Among the three of them, Ji Hao Chun and Xiang Tianqing were publicly known as a couple. But whenever they quarreled, Ji Hao Chun would come to find the previous host. The previous host liked Ji Hao Chun very much. Every time she wanted to let go, she couldn't bear to see Ji Hao Chun suffer. It was said that people with high intelligence had low EQ. Perhaps this was true. 3 years later, the three of them came back to the country and went to the same university. One night, the three of them were having supper at a food stall. Xiang Tianqing mocked and ridiculed the original owner because she didn't do well in the exam, saying that she was a third wheel and a third party. When Ji Haochen saw how sad Xiang Tianqing was, he kept blaming the original owner for appearing in their lives and told her to get lost. The previous host endured it, but the previous host's little brother Luo Qianzhe, who was having a graduation party at the next table, couldn't endure it. A beer bottle went down, and Ji Haochen's head was covered in blood. In Luo Qianzhe's world, no one bullied his big sister, no one. Who would have thought that Ji Haochan would take out a fruit knife from his pocket, and while the two of them were wrestling, he stabbed Luo Qianzhe several times. In the end, The male lead died, and the supporting male lead was only sentenced to 3 years for self-defense. 3 years later, he was released from prison and lived a happy life with Xiang Tianqing. However, the host, she finally came to her senses at her brother's funeral and felt that she had let him down. The night after the funeral, she slit her wrists and committed suicide. The previous host's mind was filled with thoughts. If she could start over, she definitely wouldn't have fallen in love with Ji Hao-chun. Whether her little brother liked her or not, she wanted him to live a good life and not lose his life for her. Chapter 568. Turning back time to 3 years ago, it was that warm afternoon. Ji Hao-chun was holding her test paper and standing against the light with a glowing expression on his face. Ji Hao-chun was not bad-looking, handsome, and confident. His eyes were bright and full of vigor and sunshine. His British-style school uniform, coupled with his curved lips, made him look like a beautiful painting in this exotic setting. Luo Qingchun. Ji Hao-chun called out to her and waved his hand. I know your secret. Luo Qingchun narrowed her eyes and only had one feeling. So hot. She knit her brows and ignored Ji Hao-chun as she walked to the ice cream shop next door. Ji Hao-chun was a bit embarrassed. The girl in front of him had always been first in school since middle school. This time he came abroad to get to know her, but the other side was very cold and couldn't say more than a few words. Strawberry smoothie, thank you. She pointed to the drinks and spoke in fluent English. Okay, the waitress sweetly replied. Because of the intelligence report of the original host, the system gave the host the same intelligence for free. After all, it didn't want the host to go back and become the last in the school. Ji Hao-chun pushed the door open and came in. The wind chimes at the door swayed, bringing with it a fresh jasmine scent. Classmate Luo, don't you want to know what I found? Ji Hao-chun sat next to her with a depressed expression. Luo Qingchun would never know how excited he was when he found a secret on her test paper. He felt that this was something only a smart brain like his could find. Unhumph. She looked at him and said, if you have something to say, then say it. Her tone was very cold, and her aura was very strong. The multiple choice answers on your test paper must be right, right? Ji Hao-chun was very excited, and his eyes were shining. He felt that this was something to be very proud of, but he didn't know. She faintly replied and took the strawberry smoothie. Ji Hao-chun was stunned and felt that his heart had suffered an unprecedented setback. Don't you think I pay special attention to you? He scratched his head and revealed a bright smile as he looked at her. Unhumph. She chuckled and walked around him. Then you're very good. As soon as her voice fell, she opened the door and walked out. She didn't stop at all, leaving behind a stunned Ji Hao-chun. This cold genius really was worthy of her reputation, but he didn't know why he wanted to get closer. People, the more they couldn't have it, the more they wanted it. The sun was very hot on the way. It was burning hot. She felt like she was being barbecued meat. The weather overseas was really unbearable. She felt that the 3-month exchange program was about to end. Thinking of this, without another word, she called her family's home. She was the daughter of the biggest tycoon in S City. Naturally, she could end this kind of exchange student whenever she wanted. After returning to school and submitting the form, she went back to the dormitory to pack her luggage. He booked the plane ticket and decided to return home tomorrow. Since her dearest brother was in the country, it would be unreasonable for her to stay here. In another parallel universe, the original owner stayed in this country for 3 whole years before returning. Since the story had to start from the beginning, he might as well make a huge change. After all, she felt that there was no need for her to stay here. Chapter 569. On the plane, Ji Hao-chun sat behind her. Not long after they took off, he shamelessly swapped seats with the person beside her, so he could sit next to her. Thinking of the previous host's memories, it was always the previous host chasing Ji Hao-chun. Other than Ji Hao-chun being good to her in the beginning, after Xiang Tianqing appeared, he was cold most of the time. But now it seemed like this boy really was noisy. Classmate Luo, why did you come back so early? Classmate Luo, did you come back early because you didn't want to be an exchange student? Classmate Luo, is it because the foreign questions aren't deep enough for you? Luo, stop. She rubbed her temples and said, it's too hot. Ji Haochen clearly didn't understand her concise words as he said in a low voice, "Do you need me to have the stewardess lower the temperature?" My meaning is, Luo Qingshun was about to go crazy from talking to Ji Haochen. She took a deep breath and calmed her anger as she said, "It's too hot abroad, so I went back. Do you understand this answer?" "Oh." Ji Haochen stuck out his tongue and said, "The brain of a genius really is different from normal people." Actually, Luo Qingshun had to doubt the previous host's eyes at this moment. Not only was the previous host bad, her eyes were also bad. In her memories, Luo Qianzhe was super handsome, all right? No matter how one looked at it. He could throw Ji Haochen away by several streets. The previous host's EQ really couldn't be praised. 12 hours later, Luo Qingshun returned to the country. Because their villa was a bit far from the Noble Academy, Luo Wenfeng bought a high-class apartment near the school for Luo Qianzhe. That way he didn't need to drive that far, and he didn't need to live in the same school as normal people. The previous host didn't have any impression of the Noble Academy because she didn't go to this high school. But one could tell from the name that the students of this school were all rich. She also knew something else. The biggest shareholder of the Noble Academy was Luo Wenfeng. So even the principal had to be polite to Luo Qianzhe. Luo Qingshun didn't immediately go to the school to register. Rather, she went home first. Luo Wenfeng was not at home. Only his mother, Hua Yingwei, was there. "Madam, Mrs. Back." The housekeeper opened the door and saw Luo Qingshun. He was very happy. My precious daughter, why did you come back so suddenly?" Huan Yu also strode down the stairs and grabbed her hand. "Why didn't you inform me? So that the driver can pick you up at the airport." "It's okay, Mom. I took a taxi back." Luo Qingshun waved the passport in her hand and said, "I told Dad about me coming back. He was probably too busy and forgot about it." Huan Yu said unhappily, "He's been a workaholic his whole life. How could he forget about his daughter's return? What's wrong? Are you having a hard time overseas? It's good that you're back. I just called Qianzhe. He must be overjoyed." Don't. Luo Qingshun slightly raised her brows. "Didn't Dad buy an apartment near the school for Qianzhe? Do you have a spare key? I'll take a shower and go there myself." In her memories, the previous host didn't care about her little brother. She only knew that he was an overbearing black-bellied person. After all, with his family background, it was normal for him to be overbearing. Chapter 570. Luo Qingshun looked around the previous host's villa. Resplendent and magnificent weren't enough to describe their family's wealth. They really were S-City's biggest tycoon. They had money, system, the previous host's little brother. Oh, that's not right. What is the male lead's affection for the previous host? 30%. Why? Isn't there an older sister complex? Why is it only 30%? Because the male lead thinks that the previous host is his blood-related big sister. So, objectively speaking, this 30% is just familial affection. Luo Qingshun heard this and nodded in understanding. No matter what, the supporting female lead Xiang Tianqing was the supporting male lead. So Luo Qianzhe shouldn't have any love rivals by his side. The host will know when you go to school tomorrow. After taking a shower, she changed into a goose yellow woolen sweater and a moon white pleated skirt. She looked in the mirror, and her lips curled into a sweet smile. The previous host's eyes were very big, sparkling like grapes, and her eyelashes were at least 1.5 centimeters long. She had a standard oval face, and although there was a bit of baby fat, not only was she cute, she was also very fresh. With the goose yellow sweater, she looked even more immature. Speaking of this sweater, she really wanted to spit at the previous host. She had bought this sweater on the way back from the airport because in her memories, the previous host's wardrobe was either black or white. It really was. Please, can a first-year girl act like a first-year girl? We have to be soft and adorable. Soft and adorable. Don't be aloof, or even more aloof, okay? When she came down the stairs, she scared Hua Yingyu, who was leaning on the sofa. She looked at Luo Qingshun in surprise and said, "Baby girl, your taste has changed after going abroad. Does it look good?" She pursed her lips into a faint smile. "Mom, this really is a pleasant surprise." Hua Yingyu happily stood up and looked over her. I can finally go shopping and buy clothes. She had bought clothes for her daughter before, but she didn't like any style. She only wore black and white. But if she liked it, she didn't have any objections as a mother. But in her heart, she still hoped to have a soft and cute daughter. That way, she could buy her a lot of clothes. Luo Qingshun touched her ears shyly and said, "Dad called me just now. I'll report to school tomorrow." "Oh, all right." Hua Yu took out the key from her pocket and handed it to her. "I haven't told him the key to Qianzhe's suite, but I think he must be very happy to see you." Although Luo Qianzhe wasn't her biological son, he was her precious son since he was young. As a mother, she could see through his thoughts at a glance, but her daughter was especially cold to her younger brother. He didn't know if it was because he had accidentally let her know that he wasn't her biological brother. But Luo Qianzhe's identity was much more important than their family. "Got it." Luo Qingshun took the key and shook it. "Then I'll go find Qianzhe first. I won't bring any clothes, Mom. Go shop properly and change out of those white, black, and white clothes." Hua Yu said in a happy voice like a child. "This is simply my wish. I finally have a chance to fulfill it. I'll have the housekeeper send it to you after I buy it." "All right." She carried a small silver school bag and sat in the driver's car, heading in the direction of Luo Qianzhe's apartment. Chapter 571. At this time, it was the first class of the afternoon at the Noble Academy. When the class ended, many people pretended to pass by the entrance of Grade 1 Class A. They only had one goal in mind. "Look, Luo Qianzhe." They saw him lazily leaning against the window in the last row. He had a white sweater, a red bow tie, and a head of slightly curled chestnut-colored hair, looking very youthful. So handsome. It's Luo Qianzhe. I'll look at the school hunk for 5 minutes. I promise I won't fall asleep next class. I envy Su Yan. It's good to look good. She's the school hunk's girlfriend. Envy your head. I've heard that Luo Qianzhe's girlfriends don't last more than a week. Everyone was talking while Su Yan happily sat by Luo Qianzhe's side. What curse of a week? She didn't believe it. She was voted as the most popular girl in the first year of high school. "Okay? Young Master Qian." Su Yan softly called him with a bit of shyness. Because of the Luo family, the school, and the people he was familiar with all called him Young Master. Over time, those little fangirls liked calling him Young Master Qian. He didn't hate this title, so he didn't say anything. Luo Qianzhe looked over, and there were screams in the hallway. He narrowed his eyes, and the sun shined down on his white skin. Those star-like eyes had an arrogant and domineering look to them, as his lips curled into an unfathomable evil aura. Actually, he was very lonely. That arrogant Luo Qingshun had already left for a month. He almost never called her big sister after middle school. He didn't like this title and hated it. That little girl clearly had a cute face and was shorter than him by a whole head. Yet, she wore a lifeless look every day and pretended to be cold and aloof. Actually, before middle school, Luo Qianzhe had never had a girlfriend. Many girls wanted to be the girl beside the demon school hunk, but they all failed. But in less than a month in high school, he had already had several girlfriends. As long as he looked good, he would have a chance. But actually, all the girls he accepted had a face that was a bit similar to that Luo Qingshun, who asked her to abandon him and go overseas as an exchange student. She didn't know that he would be alone here. He would miss her. "Young Master Qian, do you want to drink something? I'll go buy it." Su Yan lowered her head as her cheeks flushed red. He liked girls who were obedient. At least they were not troublesome. He had a girlfriend purely because Luo Qingshun had gone abroad. He felt extremely unbalanced. "Yes," he responded faintly, and the black pen spun quickly on his fingertips. There was another wave of cheers. Once upon a time, he thought that such cheers would attract Luo Qingshun's attention. But later, he realized that she didn't care about him at all. Thinking of this, she felt a little uncomfortable. How could an elder sister hate her younger brother so much? Oh no, he would never admit that she was his sister. At the same time, Luo Qingshun entered Luo Qianzhe's apartment with the key, inserting the key and entering the password. Luo Qianzhe's birthday was 0101 wrong. MMP. She thought for a moment and decided to enter the original owner's birthday, 1224. Welcome home. After that, the door slowly opened. It really was the password. This little brother was a bit terrifying. After coming in, what entered her eyes was a luxurious two-story suite on the top floor. Chapter 572. Luo Qingxun put down her luggage and went upstairs to the bedroom. The bedroom was decorated magnificently, and there was a large bed in the middle. When the curtains were drawn, the beautiful scenery of the 32nd floor could be seen. She liked this room very much, but a black-bellied person like Luo Qianzhe wouldn't give it to her. Thinking of this, she headed to the room on the other side. She was stunned when she entered the room. The room was filled with pink decorations, dolls, and a large princess bed. What was this situation? Her little brother was a pervert. But Luo Qingxun felt that she liked this room more than the previous one, since this bed could be compared to the one in her chaos space. So hungry, she rubbed her stomach and looked at the clock on the wall. She decided to solve the problem of food first. She ordered a family bucket and changed into fresh floral pajamas. She sat cross-legged on the sofa in the living room and watched the 8 o'clock soap opera. Was there a mistake with Luo Qianzhe coming home this late in the first year of high school? At this time, Luo Qianzhe was receiving the cheers of the fangirls on the ice skating rink. Yin was standing by his side with a proud look in her eyes. His skating skills were very good. Those boys who didn't like his style and didn't dare fight him would steal his thunder from time to time. But he just needed to quickly move forward and skate, overtaking the other side and even making them fall to the ground. After several rounds, there were cheers from the crowd. Young Master Qian, young Master Qian, young Master Qian. One of the gangsters with dyed yellow hair looked at Luo Qianzhe before looking at Yin beside him and making a provocative expression. The gangsters naturally didn't know Luo Qianzhe's identity, so it was reasonable for them to be this bold. But Luo Qianzhe's followers couldn't keep watching and directly provoked him. Luo Qianzhe gave a cold snort. He took off his skates and walked out with his jacket. Young Master Qian, what's the activity later? Are we going to a bar? One of the followers, Fatty Wong, came over and asked in a low voice. A bar. Yin quickly caught up with him and said, I haven't been there before. He gave a soft snort before revealing a charming smile. Then we won't go. Then where are we going next? Go home. The valet drove his car over and respectfully handed him the keys. He took the keys and opened the car door. He didn't forget to say to Fatty Wong, send her back. Me? Fatty Wong scratched his head and smiled foolishly. He said embarrassedly, understood, young Master Qian. Yin was surprised. She had already heard that Luo Qianzhe didn't let girls sit in the front passenger seat. She had taken a taxi here, but she never thought that he wouldn't send her back. She had thought that she was very different from his previous girlfriends, but now it seemed that they were all the same. Xiao. Before Yin could react, Luo Qianzhe stepped on the gas pedal and drove off on the wide road. She didn't know why, but she had a feeling of wanting to go home early today. After class, he didn't even want to go to the skating rink. His mind was filled with thoughts of going home. In the past, he had never wanted to go home so early. What was going on today? The moment he opened the door with his fingerprint and password, he froze on the spot. Chapter 573. He. Luo Qingxun gave an awkward laugh as she looked at him and said, Do you want to eat? Luo Qianzhe blinked and blinked again. The next second, he closed the door behind him and strode towards her. Dong! He sat down beside her, and his right hand went over her neck, placing it on the sofa's armrest. Luo Qingxun was stunned, feeling that this posture was too ambiguous. Her mind was blank, and her ears turned a bit red. Why are you here? His brows slightly twitched, and there was an irresistible aura around him. She actually came back. Moreover, she actually came to his apartment. This was simply unbelievable, all right? Actually, Luo Qianzhe was very nervous at this moment. His heart was in turmoil, but he had to calm down. Luo Qingxun's breath froze. She took the chicken wings and drumsticks as she moved back. You came back early. This was her first time feeling that this male lead's aura was too strong. His face was exquisite, and there was an arrogance in his eyes that made people tremble. It can't be that you were expelled from a foreign school, right? Luo Qianjia took the family bucket from her hand and pretended to be calm. What did you come looking for me for? What happened to having a sister complex? What happened to dying for her? Luo Qingshun couldn't feel anything. She just felt disdain and hostility. Coco. She cleared her throat and said, "Your sister has such a genius mind. Is that possible?" Using the word sister at this time would definitely suppress the other side's arrogance. "Who said you were my sister?" Luo Qianjia said with a soft snort. "I'll take you to dinner." Not eating properly as soon as you came back. You always like to eat this kind of junk food. Ah, Luo Qingshun was stunned. Why did the style suddenly change? And he wanted to take her to dinner. Change your clothes and leave. Luo Qianjia looked at her little floral pajamas, and a faint sparkle appeared in his eyes. These pajamas really didn't seem like the style she normally liked. Actually, she was already full. Faced with the male lead's invitation, should she go or not? She thought about it for 3 seconds before deciding. Go. After putting on her shirt, she walked to the living room, picked up her yellow sweater, and put it over her head. Luo Qianjia was surprised when he saw the goose yellow sweater. When he saw her cute appearance when she couldn't find her mouth, his heart couldn't help feeling a wave. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 40%. Luo Qingshan froze for a moment when she heard the system's favorability rating. What kind of situation was this? Wearing a sweater could also increase favorability? The next second, a pair of warm hands firmly grabbed the sides of the sweater and gently pulled it down. Her head came out. Why do I feel like you become muddle-headed after going overseas? Luo Qianjia's voice had a trace of pampering as his slender fingers stroked her hair. This kind of cute dress is popular abroad. Luo Qingshan fiddled with her hair and said, "Is it cute?" He was slightly taken aback. He turned his head and walked towards the door as he said, she's quite cute. Luo Qingshan looked at his back and smiled. This feeling wasn't bad. A Maserati Spider, a limited edition sport car that had already stopped selling. There was only one in S City. The previous host rarely sat in his car. If it wasn't for the whole family, she would sit in the back and drive the rest of the time. She habitually walked to the passenger seat and opened the door before sitting down. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 50%. What kind of situation was this? Sitting in the car could increase affection. Chapter 574. Luo Qianjia stood there in a daze as he looked at Luo Qingshan in the front passenger seat, and his heart skipped a beat. This was her first time sitting in the front passenger seat with him in all these years. When he first learned how to drive, he wanted to take her for a ride, but he was afraid that his driving skills weren't good enough, so he used insurance to cover the front passenger seat for $100 million. But in the end, she never sat in that seat. In Luo Qianjia's eyes, if it wasn't for her, no one could sit in that seat. What are you in a daze for? Luo Qingshan waved her hand at him. It's so cold. She indicated that the difference in temperature in this city was a bit big. She felt a bit hot when she was dressed like this during the day, but it was so cold at night. Luo Qianjia saw her trembling and quickly got in the car. He started the car and turned on the heater. Where are we going to eat? She blinked. She didn't feel hungry before, but now she felt like she could still eat. We're not going to eat yet. He looked at her before turning to gently fasten her seatbelt. We're going to buy clothes. She was drunk, wearing a shirt and a sweater on such a cold winter day. She didn't want the temperature. He would rather she wore black and white. At least it was warm. By what? Luo Qingshan didn't even have time to say a word before she was frozen in place by Luo Qianjia's fast driving skills. Drive slower. She watched the trees on both sides of the street pass by before turning to Luo Qianjia beside her. Your big sister is timid. Drive slower. He knit his brows as the 150 went down to 200. Luo Qianjia. Luo Qingshan was about to explode. This speed was like driving to the underworld. I don't want to call you big sister. His voice was very soft, but it was very certain. If you agree, I'll slow down. MMP. Anyway, you weren't going to call me that. Luo Qingshan bit her lip and said, drive slower for me. Luo Qianjia heard this, and his brows twitched. Thinking about it, It did seem right. He indeed hadn't called her big sister in a long time. Luo Qian's Maserati Spider stopped in front of a luxurious clothing store. Luo Qianshun. Luo Qianja looked at her and said, "Give me your wallet. Why are you calling me by my first name?" Luo Qianja looked at her in a daze. If he didn't call her big sister, then he wouldn't call by her first name. Manners. Manners. Respect, respect, respect. Luo Qianzhe was a little bit to Qianzhe. In the past, it wasn't that he hadn't asked her not to call him sister, but she had never agreed to it. Qian to Qian to Qian to Qian to Li Qian to Qian. Qing Chun. She touched her ear and said, "Remove the surname." Qian to Qian to Qian to B to Qian to as he glanced at her and continued, "Give me your wallet." She looked at him with a confused look as she gave him her wallet. "You didn't bring your wallet." He took her wallet and took out all her unlimited black cards, leaving only a single savings card. Then he gave the wallet back to her and said, "Here, this is for you." What was this situation? What was going on in this person's head? "What are you taking my cards for?" Luo Qingshun wanted to reach out, but she found that he quickly threw the cards into the locker in his car. He took out his wallet and took out a black card from inside. "Because you can use mine in the future." Chapter 575. Actually, he just wanted her to rely on him a bit more. In the past, she had been so distant to him. Is there a difference? She took his card and put it in her wallet. "It's all our parents' money." "Of course there's a difference." Luo Qianzhe calmly unbuckled her seatbelt. "Anyway, you have to use mine." "Oh," she softly replied, still not understanding her little brother's thoughts. After getting out of the car, she walked into the luxurious clothing store. It really was luxurious. Each piece of clothing was priced at over 50,000 yuan. She walked around and finally stopped at a white fur coat. "I'll take this one. Wrap it up." When Luo Qianzhe's voice slowly sounded, she seemed to understand what his thoughts were. "All right, mister." The front desk miss had a bright smile the entire time. After all, she could tell the value of the person who came in just by looking at the car parked at the door. Actually, Luo Qingshun didn't plan on buying clothes from this store, but if she left, her precious little brother wouldn't be able to shine. Not to mention that Luo Qianzhe didn't know that Luo Wenfeng was also on the board of directors of this store. Then, she would just treat it as contributing to their dad's high-end luxury industry. After walking out of the store, Luo Qianzhe took out the clothes from the bag and put them on her. "Now we can go eat." She rarely bought these kinds of furry clothes before, but seeing her wear them, she really was cute. "What are we going to eat?" He helped her button up as he asked, "What do you want to eat?" "Spicy hot pot." She blinked as her eyes filled with Li Guang. In this cold weather, of course eating hot pot was the most exciting thing. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 60%. Eating hot pot could increase affection. What was this? There's a good hot pot restaurant nearby. He saw her excited, sparkling eyes, and his heart couldn't calm down. As expected, the only one who could move his heart like this was his big sister. "No, Luo Qingshun." A gust of cold wind blew. She put her hands in her pockets and looked at him. Let's go, let's go." Luo Qianzhe put the large plush hat on her head and rubbed her shoulders, pulling her into his embrace as he said, She was slightly taken aback. She felt that his large palm could protect her from the wind and rain. But in his heart, she was still his big sister. How did he get past the barrier in his heart? After eating his fill, Luo Qianzhe drove back to the apartment. Along the way, he didn't drive too fast. Instead, it felt like he was deliberately slowing down. "Are you going to report to school tomorrow?" Jay Chow's Dandelion's Promise was playing in the car. The atmosphere was very warm. Luo Qingshun closed her eyes and nodded, and she felt a little sleepy, so of course she would sleep after eating. "I'm still jet-lagged, so sleepy." Luo Qianzhe saw that she was a bit confused and thought that she suddenly became that cold Luo Qingshun, so he quickly turned to look at her. But he found that she was curled up in his plush coat, falling asleep. He was a bit surprised as his heart skipped a beat, feeling a bit nervous. Luo Qianzhe slowly parked the car in the garage and unbuckled his seatbelt before closing the door. Then he went around and opened the door on her side, unbuckling her seatbelt. Chapter 576. He carefully helped her up, letting her lie on top of him before carrying her on his back. She was very light, and the plush jacket was very soft, like he was carrying a cloud of cotton candy. So warm, he looked at the elevator before looking at the stairs to the side. He didn't even think as he walked up the stairs. Luo Qingshan was in a daze when she knew that someone was carrying her. He was gentle and careful as he walked up the stairs step by step. Thinking about it, this was his first time carrying her like this. The feeling of her soft breaths on his neck really was warm. The 32nd floor that could be reached in 30 seconds took classmate Luo Qianzhe half an hour. Perhaps in this half an hour, she had only had a short dream, like a fragment of a dream. But he felt that it wasn't easy to carry her up such a long flight of stairs. Before, she never let him approach her, not to mention carrying her. The next morning, Luo Qingshan woke up to find that she was sleeping in the master bedroom. What was this situation? What happened? Where was she? She walked into the living room with a doubtful look. Luo Qianzhe had already made breakfast and was waiting for her to go to school. Luo Qianzhe, why are you calling me by my surname? He saw her with her hands at her waist and a confused look. Didn't you sleep well last night? Sleep. Cuckoo. She cleared her throat and said, why was I sleeping in the bedroom last night? When she said this, her face couldn't help feeling a bit hot. She looked at the goose yellow sweater she was wearing. Nothing should have happened, right? Could it be that you wanted to sleep on the sofa? Luo Qianzhe looked at her with a bit of dominance in his eyes. That. She pointed at the room across from the master bedroom. Isn't there a guest room? That room filled with dolls and presents. It hasn't been cleaned in a long time. I didn't want you to sleep in it. He looked at the blanket on the sofa and said, I slept on the sofa last night. Luo Qingshan looked at the sofa and said, you really respect your elders. Before she finished, she received Luo Qianzhe's sharp gaze. The next second, she hurriedly changed the topic. You made breakfast? I bought it. By the way, she pointed at the pink room and asked, why did you buy so many dolls? Someone sent me to school after I started high school. Luo Qianzhe put some sugar in the milk for her and said, didn't you say that it wasn't good to throw other people's gifts in the trash? When he was in junior high, he often received gifts from girls. Girls were really strange sometimes. Why did she think that boys would like dolls just because she liked them? He really didn't like it. At first, he would throw them away whenever he saw them. Later on, she bumped into him at the school gate. She looked at him coldly and said, how can you ruin other people's good intentions? One day, your good intentions will also be ruined like this. Since then, he never threw the gifts that others gave him into the trash can, because he didn't want to throw away his own kind intentions one day. Luo Qingshan took the milk and looked at him with a dull face. Didn't high school start a month ago? There are about $300 in there. Okay? Over 300. The tip of his brows twitched slightly. I've never counted. Actually, that room was originally prepared for her, although he knew that she wouldn't come and wouldn't even come back. Chapter 577. The milk was very sweet. It was the feeling she liked. But she never would have thought how popular Luo Qianzhe was at school. In the elevator, Luo Qingshan seriously looked at him and asked a question. You've only been in high school for a short month, and you've received this many gifts. Does this mean that you're very popular at school? He said with a nod. It can be considered so. Actually, when she asked this question, he was very happy. It was just like how he hoped that she could see his dazzling appearance. Then let's split up later. Luo Qingshan thought about it before looking at him and saying, I just went to school. I don't want to be the target of public criticism. Luo Qianzhe definitely wouldn't let her say that she was his big sister. They went to school together every day, and for a public figure like him, there would be rumors flying everywhere. Why? Luo Qianzhe knit his brows in displeasure. Wasn't she willing to stand with him? I don't care. Luo Qingshan ran out of the elevator, not giving Luo Qianzhe a chance to catch her at all. Standing at the door, she thought about whether she should drive or take the bus. Although her car wasn't as expensive as Luo Qianzhe's, it was still a luxury car worth over $1 million. It would explode if she drove it to school. It was better to take the bus. The apartment was very close to the school. There were only 2 stops. She saw 117 coming and got on the bus. But when she got on, she found that she didn't have a zero. Little sister, get off if you don't have money. Change your change and wait for the next bus. The driver's face didn't look good. He probably wasn't in a good mood today. Luo Qingshun looked at her phone. There was an 80% chance that she would be late if she got off now. But if she didn't get off, it was impossible to throw in 100 yuan. After weighing it, she turned to get off. At this time, there was the clear sound of a silver coin behind her. Then there was a cool and pleasant voice. I'll pay for her. The driver couldn't say anything when he saw that someone was paying, although his face was still dark. Luo Qingshun gave a soft snort before turning to the youth beside her. Thank you. But the moment she raised her eyes, she was stunned. If Luo Qianzhe was the prince of hell, being overbearing and black-bellied, then the person in front of him had the aura of a castle. He had an angular face and thin lips under his high nose. Her gaze was very cold, giving people the feeling that she was unapproachable. Seeing that he was wearing the same sweater as Luo Qianzhe yesterday, he should be a student of the Noble Academy. However, the students there would never take the bus. Even if he didn't drive a sports car that cost tens of millions like Luo Qianzhe, there would be a chauffeur to pick him up. Using his 180 IQ to calmly analyze the situation, the person in front of him should have relied on his high IQ to enter the academy. They reached their destination very quickly. She followed him out of the car and walked in the same direction as him. Knowing that she was behind him, he slowed down and asked coldly, Are you a student of the Yith Academy? Yes. She nodded in a slight daze. I just transferred in today. His eyes slightly knit as if he was the same as her, entering deep thought. What they didn't realize was that they had only been walking side by side for less than 10 seconds before they attracted the attention of many students. Luo Qingshun noticed this and moved a bit to the side. Sumu softly said when he saw this, Don't mind it. The students here are all like this. They like handsome men, gossip, and infatuated girls. With money, one didn't need to study hard to get everything they wanted. Chapter 578. Luo Qingshun gave an awkward nod with a faint smile. To be honest, she could guess what this person was thinking, so she felt a bit awkward. After all, they were different. A Maserati Spider was parked not far away. The person in the car didn't get out, and there was a look of displeasure in his deep eyes. He was angry. When she entered the school, she gave the security guard her pass and was smoothly let in. When she opened the door to the principal's office, there were excited cheers that came from inside. Surprise! Pung, pung, pung. 3 fireworks went off at the same time. They were the principal, vice principal, and the dean. Director Luo called me yesterday and said that his daughter is coming to the Yith University too. I've prepared a surprise for you. It should be a shock. He. Luo Qingshun gave 2 awkward laughs. Thank you. It seemed like Luo Qianzhe's position in the school was inevitable. The school leaders were like this. How could they not be arrogant? That, principal, I'm here to report. She put her pass and resume on the table. I think that he wouldn't be willing to let others know that I'm Luo Qianzhe's big sister. Yes, young Master Qian called me yesterday. The only ones who know are us 3 school leaders. No one else. What, young Master Qian? Luo Qingshun was stunned. He even called? As expected, it was like it was embarrassing to let others know that she was his big sister. MMP. Then we'll do as he says. I'll just be a normal exchange student. Luo Qingshun looked at the principal as she spoke. Yes. The principal said in an awkward voice, but Class A is full, so we can only let the other students leave. That way, everyone will know on no need. Luo Qingshun knit her brows and said, Any class is fine. She knew the unspoken rules of this school. The people in Class A had to be rich. If one person left and she went in, everyone would guess that her identity wasn't normal. She felt that there was no need to do such a thing. Whether she was in Class A or not was not important to her. Then arrange for Miss Luo to enter Class B. The principal said very politely, Do you need me to inform the teacher of Class B? No need. She shook her head and said, The more people know, the more troublesome it is. The principal doesn't want young Master Luo Qianzhe to cause trouble. Yes, yes, yes. The principal smiled and said, it just so happens that Ji Haochen, who came back with you as an exchange student, is also in Class B. He just finished registering. Why was it Ji Haochen again? Wasn't this person appearing a little too frequently? Are you done yet? I don't want to see him, okay? Grade 1 Class B was behind Class A, so they had to pass by Class A to get to Class B. Luo Qinshan could clearly feel her whole body trembling when she passed by Class A. She felt as if she had seen a ghost in the middle of July. He didn't need to think to know that Luo Qianzhe's eyes had always been on him. When she didn't enter Class A, he was surprised. The principal actually did not arrange for her to enter Class A. What was going on? This shouldn't be the case. He glanced at his phone and sent her a text message. Didn't enter Class A? Luo Qinshan took her phone out of her pocket while walking. She looked at it and quickly typed a few words. Chapter 579. When Luo Qinshan walked into the classroom, she became the center of attention. This is Luo Qinshan, who just transferred to our class. Take good care of this new classmate in the future. The teacher gave a simple introduction to her, and the class erupted. Such a cute girl. Her eyes are so big, so beautiful. Another beauty, don't be seduced by young Master Qian. AI, stop dreaming. Who knows who will seduce who? Our young Master Qian has never seduced anyone. That's right, that's right. It's all those girls who stuck to him, all right? God, this treasure was already in Class B. Why did it feel like everyone's topic was still Luo Qianzhe? This popularity really went against the heavens. Classmate Luo, you can take any empty seat you can see. The teacher's dignified voice sounded, seeming like a very strict person. Luo Qinshan looked around the class, and there were only 3 empty seats. One was Ji Haochun, one was Su Mu, and one was a boy who looked a bit vulgar. Although people couldn't be judged on the surface, the first impression was still very important. In the end, she walked over to the empty seat beside Su Mu. The teacher felt a bit awkward since Su Mu didn't like desk mates. It was easy for it to affect his studies. This person who was first in the middle school exams every year was still first in the entire year in the first month of high school. If it affected his studies, it wouldn't be good. Can I sit here? She looked at Su Mu and asked tentatively. The classmate Luo, you can. The teacher, Luo Qinshan, put down her bag and said with a nod, thank you. Before her, but even warmed up, there was a wave of whispers from the crowd that slowly entered her ears. When people transferred to our class before, didn't Su Mu reject them because there was someone beside him? But this time she looks good. The male god also depends on looks, all right? That's right. Looks really are capital. If I looked good, I would have gone to young Master Qian, and maybe I could have been his girlfriend for a few days. Speaking of this, Su Yan has been young Master Qian's longest girlfriend. It's been 4 days. That's right, that's right. It can't be that young Master Qian is really moved, right? Girlfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend. These 3 words flashed through her mind 3 times. Luo Qinshan carefully went over the previous host's memories, and she didn't remember Luo Qianzhe changing girlfriends often. What was going on? This was a major reversal of the plan. Judging from your expression, you seem to care a lot. Su Mu glanced at her and asked. Luo Qinshan was slightly stunned. She shook her head and said, I just suddenly remembered what you said this morning. 3 seconds later, Su Mu chuckled and said, 12-word mantra. She liked handsome guys, liked gossip, and liked to be infatuated. When the bell rang, the girl in front of Luo Qinshan turned around and looked at her. My name is Feng Xiao. I'm very happy to be your classmate. Hello. She nodded and smiled. I'm also very happy. Feng Xiao had a pair of shallow dimples. When she smiled, she was especially cute. Of course, she didn't like schemes in the palace. Therefore, before making friends, he asked the system again. Feng Xiao is a carefree girl. She's not scheming. Oh, okay. Do you want to drink some water? There's a vending machine downstairs. Let's go together. Feng Xiao smiled at her before continuing. We can also pass by Class A to see young Master Qian. When Feng Xiao said the first sentence, Luo Qingshun wanted to agree. But when she said the second sentence, she really wanted to refuse. Chapter 580. Youths always did stupid things just to sneak a peek at the person they admired. They walked along the long corridor just to satisfy their humble and insignificant wishes. Luo Qingshun finally agreed to accompany Feng Xiao to buy water. After all, it wasn't good to reject an invitation when they were just in the same class. Moreover, the other party was a cute girl. She turned her head to look at Su Mu and asked, "Do you want to drink something?" Su Mu was slightly stunned. He didn't expect her to suddenly ask him. He immediately said, "Mineral water." Just as Luo Qingshun was about to get up, Ji Haochen walked over. He looked at her with a bright smile and said, "Hey, Luo Qingshun, we were exchange students overseas together. You actually didn't choose me to be your desk mate. Don't tell me you." Actually, he really didn't want her not to be his desk mate because of Su Mu. As long as he thought about it, he felt uncomfortable. What would it be? Nothing. He scratched his head embarrassedly and said, "No, nothing." Actually, he wanted to strike up a conversation, but he didn't expect Luo Qingshun to be so cold and not want to talk to him at all. He didn't do anything to make her hate him, but Ji Haochen didn't know that his unintentional attempt to strike up a conversation was heard by Su Mu. He suddenly wanted to know why she chose him to be her desk mate. If it was the same reason as those who chose him to be their desk mate, then it seemed quite good. "Aya, stop it. Class is starting soon." Feng Xiao pointed at the clock on the wall and said, "Qingshun, let's go quickly." But to be honest, there were really many girls at the entrance of Grade 1 Class A. There were probably 20 to 30 of them. There were also a few girls walking around hand in hand, looking very happy. Luo Qingshun bought a bottle of Yakult, and Feng Xiao bought a bottle of Coke. She looked at her with a smile and said, "I especially like drinking carbonated drinks. It gives me a feeling of touching my nerves." As she spoke, she didn't forget to open the bottle of Coke. But at this moment, an accident happened. Probably because he shook too much, he spat out the cola and splashed it all over Su Yinyan's body. Not good. Before Feng Xiao could finish apologizing, she was pushed to the ground by Su Yinyan. "Don't you have eyes?" Su Yinyan's eyes were very fierce, with an overbearing look. She didn't know what happened today, but Luo Qianzhe was always absent-minded. In the past, when she spoke to him, although he didn't say much, he would still respond faintly. But when she spoke to him just now, he told her to leave. She had only been his girlfriend for 4 days. She was rumored to be the one who had been with him for the longest time. Why did things suddenly turn out like this? At this time, there was still a blind person who splashed Coke all over her. The anger in her heart instantly exploded. Luo Qingshun knit her brows and quickly helped Feng Xiao up from the ground. Little did she know that Feng Xiao's face turned red, and a bottle of Coke was thrown directly on her face. So what if I don't have eyes? That's right, she had a violent temper. She could apologize if she did something wrong, but she couldn't be insulted. It wasn't that she didn't know who Su Yinyan was, but she couldn't bully her like this. Su Yinyan staggered back from being hit as a plan flashed in her mind. After that, she began to cry. She was so fierce just now. Why did she suddenly become so weak? Chapter 581. Luo Qianzhe in the class knit his brows. His eyes never left Luo Qingshun from beginning to end. She clearly didn't come looking for him after class and went to buy water with someone else. It was fine if it was like this, but when she passed by Class A, she didn't even look at him. She didn't know that he was seriously looking at her. At this moment, Su Yin was kneeling on the ground, seriously crying. The surrounding onlookers whispered to each other and began a new round of concerto. When did Class B become this arrogant, daring to bully young Master Qian's new love? It was a good play to watch now. Remember the person who offended young Master Qian last time? She didn't come to school the next day. That's right. No matter how good your family background is, you're nothing in front of young Master Qian. This time, this girl is dead for sure. Feng Xiao naturally heard this, and her face was a bit red as she tightly clenched her little hands. She also worshipped Luo Qianzhe, so naturally she knew what position he had in school. Su Yinyan was his new love. He would definitely stand up for her. Thinking of this, Feng Xiao couldn't help taking a step back. She said to Luo Qingchun beside her, "Qingchun, you should go back to class first." "What?" Luo Qingchun knit her brows and narrowed her eyes. Could it be that they would beat up girls? Young Master Qian definitely wouldn't. Feng Xiao knit her brows and said, "But it's hard to say about his followers." Luo Qingchun wanted to say something, but Feng Xiao's followers came over. Their imposing appearances made Luo Qingchun slightly knit her brows. The one leading them was the honest-looking Fatty Wong. He had his hands on his hips as he looked at Feng Xiao and said, "Apologize to Goddess Yin Yin. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving." There were two reasons why Fatty Wong came out to protect Su Yinyin. One was because Su Yinyin was Luo Qian's new lover, and the other was that since he sent Su Yinyin home that night, his heart felt like it was worshipping a goddess. Now that he finally had a chance to stand up for her, how could he back down? Feng Xiao pursed her lips as a bit of stubbornness appeared in her eyes. She didn't want to apologize, but she was afraid of implicating Luo Qingchun. "Ooh," Su Yinyin, who was squatting on the ground, cried even louder. Damn it. She didn't want Fatty Wong to stand up for her, okay? She wanted Luo Qianjia to help her. She wanted to be in the embrace of that demon school hunk. Not this Fatty Wong who was standing behind her, all right? One of the tall boys, Liang Zi, looked at Luo Qingchun and said, "Beauty, did you just transfer? She's very pretty." "Damn, Fatty. Don't be so fierce to a beauty." F***CK Liang Zi, whose side are you on? Fatty Wong said angrily. "Yin Yin is the goddess." Yes, yes, yes. Liang Zi raised his hand and looked at Feng Xiao. "Apologize, apologize. Don't implicate the beautiful student." The discussion around them reached its climax. Most of them seemed to be on Feng Xiao's side. They thought that they should take advantage of the fact that young Master Qian had yet to come out and settle the matter peacefully. "Student, just apologize." "That's right. Otherwise, you'll suffer even more." "We can't argue about this, right?" It was clear that everyone didn't like Su Yinyin. On one hand, it was because she was young Master Qian's girlfriend. On the other hand, they were very clear on what kind of person Su Yinyin was. What good girl? What little sweetheart? It was all an act. Feng Xiao heard this and clenched her fists. She gritted her teeth as she said with tears in her eyes, "Right." Chapter 582. Luo Qingchun's voice wasn't soft or heavy, but each word was clear and powerful. Not to mention that she was the Luo family's young miss, Luo Qian's big sister. Even if she wasn't, there was no need to bully people like this. Su Yin seemed to have heard Luo Qingchun's voice, and she cried even louder. Fatty Wong's heart hardened, and when he was prepared to scare her, a tall figure appeared in front of her. At the same time, Fatty Wong's hand was pulled by the person behind him, and he almost lost his footing. He almost wanted to curse when he turned around, but after that, he revealed a bright smile as he said in a trembling voice, "Young Master Qian." Luo Qianji's face was like ice, and the coldness in his eyes reached its peak. His eyes were filled with absolute hostility as he looked at Su Mu in front of him. Everyone took a cold breath. Su Mu stood in front of Luo Qingchun with calm eyes as he said to her in a soft voice, "You can go back first." It said that there were many girls who liked Su Mu at the noble school. But Su Mu was different from Luo Qianjia. Su Mu was like 1,000-year-old ice. No one could warm him up. Although Luo Qianjia was overbearing and black-bellied, he could still approach him. In the eyes of many people in the school, a girl who could stand by Su Mu was a miracle. Seeing Luo Qianjia come out of the classroom, Su Yinyin immediately stood up. She moved to Luo Qianjia's side with a tear-stained face as she said, "Young Master Qian, I'm actually fine. Since classmate Su Yin is fine, can we just forget about this matter?" Su Mu's voice was very calm, but his brows were knit. "Forget it, my ass." Fatty Wong rushed up aggressively. Su Mu was stunned. He took Luo Qingchun's wrist and moved back, dodging his fist. "Enough." Luo Qianjia narrowed his eyes as he stared right at Su Mu's hand holding Luo Qingchun's wrist. His entire body was releasing a chill. The hand that he had never properly held was being held by someone else. Based on what? It was like a volcano had erupted in his heart that kept churning. No one could steal her from him. No one. Qianzhi's about to start class. Let's go in. Su Yin, and Yin was weak to the end as she sniffed her nose and grabbed his sweater. Young Master Qian, don't let's go. Fatty Wong saw Luo Qianzhi's angry face to the side to add fuel to the fire was flame Qianzhi's fans a bit. He Qianzhi's us to moves to assessed. Su Mu knit his brows and wanted to take Luo Qingchen's hand back. However, he found that the girl behind him had broken free from his hand. Qianzhi's two's teat. The moment he reached her side, he took her hand and walked forward. Twos to say, twos to be left, twos to be left to s, twos is to tess. To of them to be to stands to t twos to be to stand. Luo Qingchun used her status as a side character to steal the spotlight that belonged to Su Yin Yin. Furthermore, he had snatched it away so easily. On the way, Luo Qianzhi moved very quickly. Luo Qingchan followed behind him, and her wrist was tightly held by him. Chapter 583. Ding Ling. The bell rang for class, and there were only the two of them left on the football field. Luo Qianzhi reluctantly let go of her wrist. He turned around and put his hands in his pocket as he looked at her. This is the reason why you went to Class B? In his impression, she shouldn't know Su Mu, so why didn't she take his car this morning and come to school with Su Mu? Not to mention that this strange person never had contact with girls, so why did he stand up for her today? What reason is there? Luo Qingchun clicked her tongue as her eyes lit up. She had a faint smile as she teased. My little brother's eyes really aren't that good. She naturally knew what to say to change the topic. Don't call me little brother. Luo Qianzhi reached out to pull her into his embrace as his lips curled into a charming smile. Otherwise, I won't let go of you. Naturally, he knew what he had to do to make her not say it. Hey! Luo Qingshan felt her face turn red. She looked around and struggled as she said, I won't say it. I won't say it. Luo Qianzhi, let go of me first. He saw the faint Li Guang in her dark eyes, and her cherry lips pursed as his heart couldn't help beating faster. After that, he softly let go of her and pretended to be calm as he asked, What is your relationship with Su Mu? We're desk mates. Luo Qingchun found that her yakul had disappeared in an unknown time, and there was only a bottle of mineral water in her hand. She unconsciously opened the bottle and took 2 sips. What? Luo Qianzhi heard the words desk mates and almost jumped up. He narrowed his eyes and said, You're saying that you don't have any improper thoughts. Cuckoo. When she heard the words improper thoughts, she almost choked and coughed several times. Luo Qianzhi saw this and came forward to pat her as he said in a pained voice, Drink slower. No one will steal it from you. You think I'm you? Luo Qingchun gave a soft snort as she said with a bit of pride, I heard that school hunk Luo has only been in school for a month, and he has no girlfriend. It's all because of you. What does it have to do with me? Luo Qingchun blinked and looked at him. I'm not going to take the blame for your girlfriend. Who would let someone else take the blame for their own girlfriend? Absolute. Yes. No. Back. If you hadn't gone overseas as an exchange student and abandoned me, would I have gotten a girlfriend? Luo Qianzhi took the water from her and took 2 large gulps from the bottle she drank from. When did you like drinking mineral water? Don't you like drinking Yakult? She had never liked drinking mineral water since she was young. Why did her taste change all of a sudden? This is to buy a Su. Luo Qingchun casually replied, but she immediately closed her mouth when she saw Luo Qianzhi's gaze. She cleared her throat and said, I lost my Yakult while you were running with me. Luo Qianzhi naturally heard what she said. He took the bottle of mineral water and drank it all in one breath. Then he narrowed his eyes to look at her and said, I don't like you buying things for others. He thought that she would look for him as soon as she came to school, and he wanted to show off to her to let her see how everyone supported him. Then he could take her in his embrace and declare his sovereignty. He never thought. Plans couldn't keep up with changes. He actually became the one bullying her, the one who stood in front of her to protect her, shining with the protagonist's aura, wasn't him. He really wasn't willing. She only needed him to protect her in this world. Wasn't that enough? Luo Qingchun saw him finish the bottle of water in less than 5 seconds, and there were still water droplets on his school uniform. She slightly knit her brows and took out a tissue from her pocket to help him wipe it as she said, "It's fine if you don't want to buy it. Why are you drinking a bottle of water on such a cold day? You really aren't coming to class, eh?" Seeing her gentle appearance, he wasn't a cold-hearted person anymore. Chapter 584. Let's not go. Luo Qingchun looked up at him and said, "Anyway, we're just next door. There's no difference." She really didn't want to be special. Luo Qianzhe was already the demon king of the school. Could it be that she wanted to be the bully of the girls' school? No. He reached out his hand and seriously pinched her face. "Go back to class first." Luo Qingchun was a bit surprised. She touched her face and wanted to say something, but she found that Luo Qianzhe had already turned to leave. His palm was very hot, causing her originally cold cheeks to feel slightly warm. Because she was late by half a class, the teacher's face wasn't good and she kept asking her questions. But she never thought that classmate Luo Qingchun, with an IQ of 180, would be able to give the answer in minutes. She really couldn't praise herself. It was all the previous host's credit. After sitting down, she said in a small voice to Su Mu beside her, "Sorry, I lost your water." She said she would bring him water, but it was embarrassing for her to be empty-handed. His voice was very soft, looking like he wasn't in a good mood. He softly replied, "It's fine." He was a smart person, just based on Luo Qianzhe's attitude towards her. He knew that the two of them knew each other, and Luo Qianzhe was very special to her. As for what was special, he couldn't say, but it was very special. Feng Xiao, sitting in front of her, immediately sent a note over with a pouted mouth and an apologetic look. "Qingchun, sorry. Young Master Qian didn't do anything to you, right? Asterisk, asterisk, caret, asterisk, asterisk." Feng Xiao. Luo Qingchun revealed a faint smile. She wrote a simple reply in a blank space and sent the note to her. "Mo Feng, it's fine. Asterisk, caret, asterisk." Luo Qingchun. She opened her book, and her brain quickly came up with a conclusion based on Su Mu and Feng Xiao's attitude towards her. Su Mu could see some clues, but Feng Xiao definitely couldn't see anything. She really was a carefree girl. It was good that she didn't scheme. She couldn't help feeling happy that there weren't many people who suspected her relationship with Luo Qianzhe. However, this happiness only lasted until the end of class. The first thing they heard was Su Yinyin wailing from the next class. Then there was a group of voices that came from Class A's Luo Qianzhe's fans. The reason was Luo Qianzhe very casually said to Su Yinyin, "Break up?" At that moment, Su Yinyin was shocked. She thought that she had been bullied today. Luo Qianzhe would definitely stand up for her, since she was his girlfriend. But she never thought that not only did Luo Qianzhe not help her, he even took away a strange transfer student. She was already furious and wanted to throw a tantrum after class. When he came to Luo Qianzhe's side, he said these two words. They had been together for 4 days. How could they break up just like that? "Young Master Qian," Su Yinyin cried as she looked at him and said, "If I did anything wrong, just tell me. If it's because of what happened just now, I can apologize to them." She was still walking in a gentle manner, wanting to use this move to turn the tide. "She probably doesn't want to hear your apology." Luo Qianzhe gave a cold snort and ignored Su Yinyin. He turned to Liang Zi on the side and said, "Go and buy all the Yakult in the school's convenience store." He said in an awkward voice, I'll go alone. How about I give you a follower?" This Liang Zi actually dared to call her a beauty. He didn't want to live anymore. Who told him to look at her? Chapter 585. And you, Fatty Wong. Luo Qianzhe knit his brows and suddenly threw a stack of books at his head. His eyes turned cold as he said, "You aren't qualified to approach her. Do you understand?" "Qian, young Master Qian." Fatty Wong held the back of his head in fear and angrily said, Who are you talking about? Did I do something wrong?" "If you don't even know who I'm talking about," he said with a cold snort, "what qualifications do you have to follow me?" He couldn't bear to be fierce to her. How could anyone dare to be fierce to her? As long as he was here, there was no one in this world that could be fierce to her. Everyone in class, it took a cold breath. It was even quieter after class than when they were in class. Liangzi quickly came back with 5 boxes of Yakult. He held it with difficulty as he said to Luo Qianzhe, "Young Master Qian, where do I put this Yakult? Take it to Class B and give it to Luo Qingchen." He leaned back in his chair with a lazy look in his eyes as his lips curled into a faint smile. She never needed to buy anything she wanted to drink. He wasn't even willing to let her run up the stairs. No one would let her carry anything. Therefore, when Liang Zi carried the 5 boxes of Yakult in front of Luo Qingchen, Feng Xiao was surprised and Su Mu was calm. God, looks really decide everything. Feng Xiao looked at Luo Qingchen and said, "I never thought that our family's Qingchen would be young Master Qian's next girlfriend." There was a sigh that came from the crowd before it was followed by an overwhelming amount of whispers. No wonder young Master Qian ignored Su Yin and pulled Luo Qingchen away. Wah, I'm so jealous. What are you jealous of? Come, let's make a bet. How many days can she be young Master Qian's girlfriend? What's the longest time? For days, Su Yin. Luo Qingchen's brows twitched as she slapped the table and pursed her lips. I'm not his girlfriend. God, the principal, vice principal, and head teacher of this school all knew their identities, all right? If this news were to reach their ears, it would be a complete loss of face. There was another strange sound. Luo Qingchen bit her lip and said to Liang Zi, "Give it back to Luo Qianzhe for me. If he brings it back, I won't be polite." Her voice was very firm. She didn't want to become everyone's target. But most of the people in the class looked at her with strange gazes. Feng Xiao tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "No one in the school dares to call young Master Qian by his full name. You just transferred here, so you might not know, what?" Luo Qingchen touched her burning ears and sat down. "You call him young Master Qian, even if you don't know him?" "That's right. Yes. Luo Qingchen." She thought that she had either underestimated Luo Qianzhe's position in the school, or her high IQ brain was different from normal people's. Young Master Qian. Liang Zi's legs were trembling as he took the 5 boxes of Yakult back and said with a bitter face, "Sister-in-law said that she doesn't want it." "What did you say?" Luo Qianzhe's brows slightly twitched as his mind was completely focused on the word sister-in-law. "So, sorry." Liang Zi thought that he had said something wrong and quickly apologized. It was all his fault. Fatty Wong had just hit the muzzle of the gun. How could he be so careless with his words? Luo Qianzhe never let others call his girlfriend sister-in-law. There was once a little brother who did it and was beaten black and blue, not coming to class for 2 weeks. Chapter 586. What did you just call her? Say it again. Luo Qianzhe's dark eyes sparkled with a faint liguang. It was like there was something that he had always longed for that hit his heart. Young Master Qian. Young Master Qian. Speak. His tone was very strong, almost like an order. Liang Zi's feet trembled even more in fear, but he still cried out, "Sister-in-law." Said she doesn't want it. He replied softly and sat back down on his seat. The corners of his mouth curled up into an extremely enchanting smile. With a gentle breeze, his slightly curly chestnut hair fluttered in the wind, making him incomparably handsome. There was another cheer from the hallway. After a while, he said to Liang Zi behind him, "Put it down. You'll take Fatty Wong's place from now on." Liang Zi's body froze, and he stood there in a daze. It had to be known, although his family was rich, it was impossible for him to go to those high-class clubs to indulge in wine and women. But if he followed Luo Qianzhe, he could go anywhere in S City. Yes, young Master Qian. Liang Zi awkwardly scratched his head as his face turned red. It seemed like Luo Qianzhe really treated Luo Qingchen from Class B special. He actually supported him like this just because he called her sister-in-law. Luo Qianzhe didn't eat at noon because he wanted to see if she would come find him for a meal. At least the entire Class A and Class B knew that he treated her special, so it wasn't a big deal for her to come find him for a meal. But he never thought that the girl named Luo Qingchen didn't have any intention of finding him for a meal. Rather, she went with Su Mu and the girl from this morning. He forgot what she was called, They went to eat together. When he saw her and Su Mu talking and laughing as they walked through the door, he felt like his lungs were about to explode. Qingchun, let me tell you, this is my first time eating with Su Mu. Feng Xiao quietly said from beside her. There were many girls in our class who invited him before, but he never went. Today he actually took the initiative to invite you. Yeah, bring me along. Luo Qingchun thought about it before saying, it should be because I just transferred here. After all, it would be impolite not to attend a deskmate's invitation. Although she didn't know much about Su Mu, she knew that he was a very cold person. High IQ, unknown EQ. On the other side, Class A, young Master Qian. Do you want to eat together? Guiyin came to Luo Qian's desk with a book in her hand. With a warm breeze, there was a faint perfume smell coming from her. He had just rejected Liang Zi's invitation and their offer to bring food for him. He wanted to starve because he was so angry. His stomach wasn't good. If he skipped a meal, he would get a stomachache easily. When he was young, he had suffered 3 major stomach hemorrhages, which made his stomach unusually weak. Basically, they couldn't go hungry, and they couldn't eat spicy food at all. I'm not going. He frowned, and his eyes were filled with annoyance. The girls behind Guiyin clicked their tongues in mockery. Clearly, they knew what she wanted. Now that Su Yanyan was no longer Luo Qian's girlfriend, and the one surnamed Luo from the next class hadn't been officially announced, it meant that her chance had come. Go, it's not good for your body if you don't eat, she said with a smile. Let's go together. Luo Qian tightly knit his brows. His heart was filled with dissatisfaction when he thought of Su Mu bringing her to eat. No, he still had to go. Chapter 587. All right. He slowly stood up and put his hands in his pocket as he narrowed his eyes. Let's go. Guiyin's lips curled as a confident look appeared in her eyes. Although she had lost to Su Yanyan by 5 votes on the most popular first-year girl ranking, that didn't mean she wasn't beautiful. It was just that Su Yanyan was too good at using her methods. In the beginning, she wanted to silently wait for Luo Qian to pay attention to her. She would deliberately buy the same cup and pen as him to create such a beautiful coincidence. However, Luo Qian didn't notice her at all. He had girlfriend one after the other, and she was never there. This let her know that she had to take the initiative. She concluded that Luo Qian liked girls who took the initiative, not a passive girl like her. Only by taking the initiative could she enter his heart. Seeing Luo Qian speak, the girls behind her turned from disdain to envy. She liked this feeling. In Guiyin's eyes, only someone like her was worthy of Luo Qian. Su Yanyan? She smiled. She wasn't worthy. The cafeteria was very lively because of Su Mu's appearance. Luo Qingchun had a feeling. Being able to become the center of attention wherever she went, this wasn't her problem. It was related to the people standing beside her. You guys go line up. I'll go get a spot. Luo Qingchun decided that she would stay away from the center of attention for a while. Then what do you want to eat? Feng Xiao asked. Just give me a portion of whatever you want to eat. Luo Qingchun's lips curled as she said, You're definitely more familiar with it than me. Of course, later on, she was in a state of completely overturning her own words, because the dishes Feng Xiao gave her were all spicy. You like spicy food? Luo Qingchun pursed her lips into an awkward smile as she asked this. That's right. Feng Xiao excitedly introduced the dishes on her plate. Spicy tofu, spicy stir-fried string beans, and spicy sole fish. These 3 dishes are the classics of our school. It's super delicious. If I didn't steal it, I wouldn't have been able to buy it. She touched her ear and laughed softly. You really know how to snatch. The previous host ate spicy food when she was young, but because Luo Qian didn't know how to eat it, the chef rarely cooked it and only occasionally cooked it. She never thought that after Luo Qian accidentally drank a few mouthfuls of the steamed fish head with diced hot red pepper soup, he was sent to the hospital with stomach bleeding. Since then, the Luo family had never cooked spicy dishes again. Over time, she didn't know how to eat spicy food. But now, he probably wouldn't. She slowly picked up her chopsticks and took a bite of the stir-fried green beans. After taking 2 bites, she instantly felt her whole body tremble and her blood boil. Heavens! This wasn't just any ordinary spiciness. Just as she was about to get up and get 2 more dishes, there was a commotion at the door. Young Master Qian. F***CK. How lucky. Young Master Qian actually came to the canteen to eat today. I come here every day at this time, and this is the first time I've seen him. He's really handsome in person. When Gu Yining finally appeared behind them, the audience's attitude instantly changed. Who is that? He seems to be a freshman as well. He looks good, I don't like him. Gu Yining naturally didn't care about these voices at all, because she knew that a dark flower had already bloomed in their hearts. Chapter 588. Luo Qingshun heard the voices of the crowd and immediately sat back down without seeing Luo Qianzhe, focusing on eating 2 mouthfuls of rice. Luo Qianzhe's followers quickly came over when they saw him eating in the cafeteria. They asked with smiles, "Young Master Qian, what do you want to eat? We'll get it for you." "Whatever," he answered perfunctorily, his eyes anxiously searching for the figure he wanted to see. 3 seconds later, her gaze was fixed on the window on the far right. Damn, she actually didn't look at him. The surrounding people were clearly discussing him, but she didn't look at him. After that, he put his hands in his pockets and headed in Luo Qingshun's direction. Everywhere he went, there was a wave of screams. When the screams came closer, Luo Qingshun knew that he was here. He sat down at an empty table to her left and looked over her face, suddenly feeling a bit nervous. Gu Yining placed a bottle of water in front of him before sitting down in front of him. She said with a sweet smile, "Liang Zi and the others went to get food. Do you really not want to eat anything?" "No." His voice was very cold, without any warmth at all. Gu Yining could feel his displeasure, but she didn't know why. "I feel that your face doesn't look good. Do you want some hot water?" "No." His voice seemed to be even colder, and it was filled with extreme impatience. This person was so annoying. "Can you not talk?" The cafeteria was noisy, and she kept talking in his ear. How could he not hear the conversation between Luo Qingshun and Su Mu? The surrounding girls saw that Gu Yining was being ignored, and they all began to taunt her. This Gu Yining is the girl who replaced Su Yanyan. She really can't compare to Su Yanyan. Be quiet. She is young Master Qian's girlfriend now. Humph. Let's see how long she can stay this way. Su Mu slightly knit his brows. When he looked over at Luo Qianzhe, he could clearly feel that he was also looking over. Then the reason why he was sitting next to them should be related to this girl in front of him. The moment he looked up, he saw that she hadn't touched the food on the table and had been eating dryly. Frowning slightly, she asked, "Do you not know how to eat spicy food?" "What? You don't know how to eat spicy food?" Feng Xiao just noticed that the food on Luo Qingshun's plate was really untouched. I don't really know how to eat." She saw Feng Xiao's apologetic look and hurriedly said, it's okay. I can eat a little. Don't force yourself. The food here is very spicy. If you don't know how to eat spicy food, you won't be able to eat it." Su Mu pushed his plate to her and said, "You eat mine." Su Mu couldn't help but feel that the girl in front of him was very cute when he saw her embarrassed look in front of the 3 dishes. Do you want to eat mine?" Feng Xiao smiled awkwardly. "My spicy soul fish may not be that spicy." Luo Qingshun was slightly startled. She looked at Feng Xiao and said, "I think the basa fish should be cooked in the same pot. I'm fine. I can eat spicy food." Seeing that she was a bit hesitant, Su Mu placed the 2 dishes on his plate that he hadn't touched in front of her. When he was about to place the food in front of him, a pair of long and slender fingers directly picked up her entire plate. Chapter 589. Luo Qingshun was surprised as she looked at him with a confused look. She pursed her lips and said, "What do you want to do?" Liang Zi came over at this time with a plate of food in his hand. "Young Master Qian, it's all your favorite food." He took the plate and placed it in front of her as he said in a displeased voice, "You're eating mine." These 4 simple words attracted the attention of everyone around them. Of course, Luo Qianzhe was the center of attention, but this time the center of attention was Luo Qingshun. How could he allow her to eat other people's food? Who knew if Su Mu had secretly taken a bite or 2? Did this girl become a fool after going abroad? Didn't she know how to kiss indirectly? If she really wanted to kiss indirectly, she could only do it with him. All right? Luo Qingchen was a bit surprised before looking at him and saying, "Bring it back for me." This idiot, did he forget that when he ate a bit of spicy food when he was young, his stomach would bleed? This was much spicier than the food when he was young. All right? I don't want it. His voice was very firm, but there wasn't a fierce feeling to it. Rather, there was a bit of pride. You can't eat spicy food either. Who said that? Hearing this, Su Mu happened to raise his head and look at him with different emotions in his eyes. His guess was right. They knew each other. Moreover, they weren't as simple as normal friends. Luo Qianzhi met Su Mu's eyes, and his heart filled with anger. As long as it was something Luo Qianzhi wanted to do, there was nothing he couldn't do. He gave a cold snort and slowly put down the plate. He put a piece of sole fish into the rice and put it in his mouth. Luo Qingchen was surprised before she threw herself at him. She knit her brows and angrily looked at him. "Luo Qianzhi, what are you trying to do if you can't eat spicy food?" She suddenly felt that the youth in front of her was a bit stubborn for her. At that moment, she suddenly didn't care about what other people thought. Perhaps she shouldn't care about what other people thought. Luo Qianzhi saw that she was a bit angry, and he felt a bit of joy in his heart. He liked being watched by her, liked being cared for by her, and liked being nagged by her. She picked up the plate on the table and placed it in front of him. "Can we eat together?" "All right." His eyes flashed, and a charming smile appeared on his face. At this moment, everyone was stunned, including Gu Yining and Su Mu. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 70%. Gu Yining knit her brows and looked at Luo Qingchen with a dissatisfied look. "Classmate, you're sitting in my seat." As expected, the people from Class B were not simple. She was supposed to be the main character, so how could a random transfer student take her place? "Your seat?" Luo Qianzhi gave a cold snort as his dark eyes filled with disdain. "Who are you?" Gu Yining was slightly taken aback. The young man who had been standing next to her and shining brightly had suddenly become extremely cold. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air and pretended to be shocked. Some of them widened their eyes, and some of them opened their mouths wide. Luo Qianzhi narrowed his eyes and tapped his right hand on the table twice as the followers behind him came forward. He raised a brow and said, "Or do you want me to give you my seat?" In an instant, Gu Yining's face turned pale. Chapter 590. There were sighs all around as they discussed the matter of Luo Qianzhi's girlfriend. Is young Master Qian's girlfriend this time Gu Yining or that transfer student? It should be Gu Yining. I saw her enter the cafeteria with young Master Qian. Then it's Gu Yining who was dumped? Sure Qian's shortest girlfriend? Pung. With a loud sound, a row of chairs fell to the ground like the Minotaur. The entire cafeteria instantly fell silent. His cold voice slowly sounded. "From this day forth, I, Luo Qianzhi, don't have a girlfriend." Luo Qingchen heard this and slowly looked up. What entered her eyes was an extremely charming smile. The curtain by the window blew, and his chestnut brown hair was so handsome that people couldn't look away. This announcement was like a bolt from the blue, making many girls cry out in regret. Why did young Master Qian suddenly stop calling her his girlfriend? They thought that with the speed at which he changed girlfriends, there would be a chance even if he took turns. Why did it end like this in just a month? Wouldn't Luo Qianzhi be the same as Su Mu, becoming a male god that no one could approach? At this time, Su Mu calmly put away his plate and slowly stood up. His eyes were cold as he walked out the door. Luo Qingchen blinked, wanted to take a look. But Luo Qianzhi knocked her head with the chopsticks in his hand. He lowered his voice as he said to her, "Why don't you try taking another look?" Humph! Actually looking at someone in front of him, wasn't this person in front of her handsome? Wasn't it enough? Luo Qingchen picked up the chopsticks that she didn't use and knocked it back. She pursed her lips and said, "Why don't you see how willful you can be in the future?" She felt angry thinking of what happened just now. He clearly couldn't eat spicy food, but he insisted on being brave. If it wasn't for her quick eyes, he might have walked away, all right? The students in the cafeteria saw that Luo Qingshun dared to treat Luo Qianzhe like this, and they couldn't help being stunned. Luo Qianzhe had been at the Noble Academy for over a month, and no matter what kind of girl it was, they had never seen him spoil anyone like this. No matter how they looked at it, they felt that the other side was special in Luo Qianzhe's eyes, and it wasn't a bit special. It was like being held in the palm of Luo Qianzhe's hand, and the other side didn't seem to appreciate it. When Luo Qianzhe heard this, he didn't feel any pain from the chopsticks in her hand hitting his head. Rather, he felt very warm. He took the tissue next to him and helped her wipe the rice off the corner of her mouth. Let's go if you're full. Luo Qingshun only felt that the moment his warm fingertips touched the corner of her mouth, her heart seemed to slow down by half a beat. In the next second, she snatched the napkin and wiped her lips twice. Goodbye. As soon as she finished speaking, she got up and tugged at Feng Xiao, who was still eating stir-fried green beans at the next table. Let's go. Feng Xiao raised her eyes and looked at her with a confused face. Why is your face so red? Did you get hit? She endured it. He grabbed her hand and dragged her out of the cafeteria like a Pikachu. Sometimes a naive girl would make people have the urge to beat her up. At this time, Luo Qianzhe narrowed his eyes as he watched Luo Qingshun running away. His lips curled into a beautiful curve. His feeling really was good. She went to the school office to get her uniform at noon. She felt that it was a bit strange for her to wear different clothes when everyone was wearing the uniform, so it was better to wear the same uniform. Because the first-year female washroom had a blocked pipe, it had to be repaired. Feng Xiao went with her to the washroom of the second-year building to change her uniform, but she never thought that something would happen when she changed. She never thought that Luo Qianzhe, who had only been in the first year for a short month, would have so many fans in the second year. No, big sister fans. Chapter 591. Yo, I heard that you're the transfer student. Gu Ting shook the flesh on her chest and looked at Luo Qingshun in disdain as she said, "You're not that good. How could someone with your status stand by young Master Qian's side?" Gu Ting and her group dared to block Luo Qingshun so openly because young Master Qian never admitted that she was his girlfriend. Although the interaction between the two of them in the cafeteria made many people's jaws drop, rumors were still rumors, because most of them were fake. Moreover, didn't young Master Qian say that? From today onwards, he doesn't have a girlfriend. Feng Xiao knitted her brows and looked at Luo Qingshun from the corner of her eyes. She tilted her mouth at her, indicating that she should run when she found an opening. However, 5 people had already surrounded her from behind. Luo Qingshun coldly looked at Gu Ting and said, "To fight in such a narrow place, not only would it be easy to injure others, it would also be easy to bump into teachers. This kind of fight wouldn't be satisfying, right? What do you want?" Gu Ting eyes were filled with anger. She originally thought that Luo Qingshun would beg for mercy after they blocked her in front of the restroom. She never thought that not only did she not beg for mercy, she was completely different from what she had imagined. Did she mean to fight with them? Big sister Ting be careful of her tricks. That's right. We'll strip her of her clothes here and upload the video to the school's website. Let's see how she'll hook up with young Master Qian. Luo Qingshun's eyes narrowed as she looked at the white uniform she had just changed into. Her lips curled into a cold smile. What? The 10 of you don't even dare to fight. Aren't you ashamed? Her tone was filled with ridicule as she placed her hands in her pockets. While she was ridiculing them, she did not forget to have a short conversation with the system. System, can you lend me an exquisite ring? Divine weapons cannot be used in this world. Trash. Then do you have any weapons of mass destruction? Give me one. Even if you give the host a gun, the host cannot use it. That's true. It wouldn't be good if she ended up in jail. Host can redeem a Taekwondo 10th Dan black belt skill for 500 exchange points. Damn, you should have said so earlier. Exchange. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for a 10th degree black belt in Taekwondo, only available in this world. When Feng Xiao heard Luo Qingshun's arrogant clamor, she couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Although she was usually carefree, she had never seen such a scene before. Moreover, After Luo Qingshun changed in her school uniform, she looked like an obedient girl. How could she beat those bullies on campus? Oh no, I won't be disfigured right. I must protect my face later. You bitch. One of the fatter girls standing behind Gu Ting raised her hand, wanting to slap her. However, Luo Qingshun caught her chubby hands in midair. At this moment, she only felt that her body was filled with strength. After that, she narrowed her eyes and pushed the people behind her with her right hand. Her left hand grabbed Feng Zhao's hand as she ran upstairs. In fact, she wanted to run downstairs, but there were 2 or 3 people blocking the stairs. In order to prevent Feng Zhao from getting hurt during the fight, she turned around and ran in the direction of the rooftop of the school. Chase her. She's running away. Gu Ting gritted her teeth as she angrily roared at the people beside her. Chapter 592. On the rooftop, a cold wind blew. Because it was deep winter, small snowflakes fell from the sky, and the rooftop was soon covered in white. Qingshun, I didn't bring my cell phone. Do you have one? Should we call the police? Feng Zhao's voice was trembling a bit. It was unknown if it was because of the cold or because of fear. Peng. When Luo Qingshun wanted to say something to her, the rooftop door was opened. With Gu Ting, as the leader, a group of people rushed out. Looking at them, there were about 10 of them. Some of them were holding brooms and broken sticks that made da-da-da sounds as they hit their hands. Luo Qingshun, if you kneel down in front of the entire school and apologize to our Enin, I can consider beating you for a few minutes less. Gu Ting crossed her arms and looked at Luo Qingshun like she was the winner. Luo Qingshun's skin was very white, and she had a pair of grape-like black eyes. After wearing the uniform, she looked like a doll, making people feel pity for her. Gu Ting hated this kind of pure and harmless appearance the most. She thought that she could tie down Luo Qian's heart like this. In her dreams, big sister Ting I can't wait to take off her clothes. See, so cold, I really don't know what it feels like to stand here naked. The sounds of taunting filled her ears, but her eyes had an ice-cold laziness to them. She looked at the red paint the workers left on the ground, and her lips curled into a dangerous smile as she looked at them. Stop wasting words. Hurry up if you want to fight. King want to die, right? This old lady will help you. She quickly picked up the red paint and splashed it on the other side. Her eyes narrowed as she said, "If I touch a single bit of the paint on you, it'll be my loss." Her voice was very cold, and every word was filled with extreme coldness, making people unconsciously tremble. The arrogant little fat girl saw her eyes and couldn't help taking a step back. His clothes were still stained with the red paint that had been splashed on him, but for some reason, he couldn't move his feet at this moment. Gu Ting was completely enraged. She hated dirtying her clothes and hair. However, at least half of the red paint had splashed onto her body. Her clean white sweater instantly turned red and sticky. Beat the hell out of her. In the next second, everyone looked at each other in dismay. As if they had received an order, they attacked Luo Qingshun. The corners of her mouth curled up, and her eyes were filled with killing intent. Like a phoenix that had been reborn from the flames, she spread her wings. With a light leap, she moved as fast as lightning and grabbed the left hand of one of them. Crack! The sound of bones breaking resounded throughout the rooftop. Her complexion was extremely pale. Snowflakes fell on her long eyelashes, making her look like a young girl in winter. Her pure appearance carried an extraordinary strength. The moment the other girl rushed forward, her little white shoe fiercely pressed against her chest. In the next second, she flung the man hard and sent him flying several meters away. Falling to the ground, the man's eyes rolled back and he clutched his chest. This scene made Gu Ting, who was already used to fighting in groups, pale in fright. Her lips were trembling nonstop. Luo Qingshun's speed was too fast. She didn't even have time to react before the 2 people who rushed forward were beaten back. Moreover, they had completely lost their ability to fight.